how casual the elders were with names. The weapon wolf pup was called Bing Geda, weapon lump knot. The dark wolf pup was called Hei Tai Lang, dark big wolf. And the 7 snakelets of different colors were named Little Red, Little White, Little Yellow, Little Green Tea, Little Barbie, Pink, and Giant Stick. Su Yue looked at the pups in front of him with a look of resignation. Fu, in that case, is this white wolf cub that can breathe fire called Pentuolong, Fire Dragon? Su Li stroked his beard and burst out laughing. You're a good guesser. It really is called Pentuolong Fire Dragon. Su Yue covered his face, utterly resigned. He was beyond complaining. What was all this nonsense? Yi Lin's mouth twitched as he silently glanced at the 3 wolf pups on the ground. The eldest was called Ying Ren, Meet the Blade. The second, Heisha, Black Fiend. And the third, Shuang Yan, Twin Swallows. The 3 wolf cubs who were playing suddenly looked up simultaneously, their eyes sparkling, clearly satisfied with their names. Just then, the priest stroked his scorched beard and slowly chimed in. I think the chief named them quite well. Names that are simple are easy to raise. Yi Lin suddenly picked up the little silver wolf, Ying Ren, by his scruff and bit him a playful warning. The wolf pup howled and pounced on the priest, scaring the old man 3 feet into the air. Su Yue stood by, watching the show. It hasn't been this lively in a long time. Fu, what about the 8 snakelets? They aren't named by color, are they? No sooner had he spoken than a crash echoed from a corner of the cave. The scarlet little snake was seen pushing a ceramic jar off a stone shelf. The other 7 snakes of different colors were lined up next to him, tails swishing in unison as if applauding and cheering. But their eyes seemed to say, "Bite that, old man. The cheap names are easy to raise." Su Yue turned to look at the shattered ceramic pieces on the ground and suddenly felt a headache coming on. These weren't 8 snakes. They were 8 devils of the world, a notorious mischief maker. Add the 3 wolf pups, and that was 11 devils. How were they going to live like this? Su Li was already used to it. His gaze swept over the small vine snakes lined up on the stone shelf. Little black, little white, little green, little purple, little red. Hearing her children's names, Mo Lin's face instantly darkened by 8 degrees, a humorous way to say very dark. Xuan Ming finally couldn't hold it in and laughed breathlessly. Mo Lin, your naming sense is truly. Qingju, who was tending the fire, twitched his mouth and silently added a piece of wood to the stove. Fortunately, my cub hasn't been born yet. Mo Lin pointed to the little black snake, which was as green and clear as jade, and the scarlet snake, which was squirming anxiously. Mo Lin spat out 2 words, Qing Ming and Qi Shao. Su Yue couldn't help but laugh out loud. Are you acting out a wuxia film here? Mo Lin continued the roll call with an expressionless face. Lan Che, Jingling, Zidayan. When it came to the all-snow white snake, it suddenly bit Mo Lin's finger with a fierce, milky, childish growl. This one is called Bai Chi. Idiot, Xuan Ming answered quickly. Mo Lin immediately lashed out with his tail. Your family is called Bai Chi? The white one is called Ta Shui, treading snow. Xuan Ming jumped up, clutching his bottom. Uh-oh, I said. You black longworm, why do you always like to hit people's butts? Everyone burst into laughter. Mo Lin coldly retracted his snake tail. The consequence of a loose mouth. Xuan Ming grimaced and rubbed his butt. Suddenly, he noticed the scarlet snake imitating his grimace. He immediately chuckled. Little Qi Shao, come spit some fire for your 5th daddy. Little Qi Shao turned its head and spat a puff of black smoke right in his face. Kek, kek, kek! Xuan Ming jumped up and down with a black face. Mo Lin, your son did that on purpose, didn't he? Su Yue was laughing so hard his spatula nearly dropped into the pot, but he quickly grabbed it and focused on cooking. Qingju silently added another log to the stove, a knowing smirk playing on his lips. Serves him right. Amidst the laughter, Su Yue finally finished the cooking. The stone table was quickly filled with delicious dishes. Mushroom stew with goo chicken, pan-fried salted mutton, steamed fishtail fish, scrambled eggs with wild vegetables, and so on. Time to eat, Su Yue announced. The 11 fur balls, the pups and snakelets, instantly darted over in unison, each one faster than the last. No manners, Mo Lin said coldly, lifting the 8 snakelets one by one. He took out 8 small bowls, put some meat in each, and told them to eat on the side. The 3 wolf pups were also taken aside by Ye Lin, who put some meat in 3 separate bowls. The 3 little wolf cubs buried their heads and devoured the food, occasionally baring their teeth at each other to guard their portion. Why? Yilin frowned and tapped the stone table with a bone knife. Keep fighting, and you'll starve. The 8 snakelets, however, were surprisingly well behaved, each coiled by their bowl, eating gracefully. If you ignored Chi Xiao stealing half a piece of Lan Che's meat. When Lan Che found his meat stolen, he bit Chi Xiao's tail in a fury. The 2 little snakes instantly wrestled into a knot. Mo Lin's heart thumped. He silently separated them and sternly lectured, "Eat what's in your own bowl first. If it's not enough, I'll get more for you, but no stealing." Su Yue couldn't stop smiling and even forgot to eat. Suddenly, she remembered the big matter she hadn't discussed. She looked seriously at Suli and the priest. "Afu, Master, I have something I want to tell you." Suli and the priest were curious about what she wanted to say and both looked at her. "I had a dream," she said, moistening her lips. "I dreamt that the superior Jade Phoenix clan purged the tribe. The entire wolf tribe was engulfed in flames, and the tribesmen were burned alive. Afu was lying in a pool of blood, being humiliated, and the pups were captured." She quickly recounted the contents of the dream. The stone chamber suddenly fell silent. Suli and the priest exchanged grave looks. Even the smallest faction in the superior Jade realm was an insurmountable behemoth to their wolf tribe, let alone the Phoenix clan, one of the 4 great divine beasts. If they truly intended to destroy the wolf tribe, they wouldn't even need to send their whole force. 1 or 2 phoenixes would be enough. Suli never doubted the truth of Yor's dreams. To him, it was a prophecy from the beast god. His brow furrowed deeper. "If the Phoenix clan truly attacks, we won't even last half an hour." He looked at the priest. "Old man, what do you think?" The priest stroked his beard. "If the Phoenix clan attacks, we are indeed hard-pressed to resist. However, since the beast god gave Yor a prophecy, perhaps it also gave us a glimmer of hope." He paused, then continued. "In this critical moment, we must quickly relocate the tribe and find a hidden place to take shelter for a while." Qingju raised an eyebrow. "Relocating the tribe is no small matter. Besides, where can we move to?" This question plunged everyone into silence. Xuan Ming curled his mouth into a wild, unrestrained smile. "That's easy. Find a remote, deep forest with food and water. Those noble birds of the Phoenix clan won't be able to find us." Yilin shot him a look and sneered. "You think hiding will solve everything? If the Phoenix clan truly wants to find us, they'll dig 3 feet into the ground to do it." Everyone fell silent again, the atmosphere growing heavy. Mo Lin suddenly spoke. "Since hiding is useless, why not set an ambush?" Qingju chuckled softly. "Ambush a phoenix? Do you think you're hunting pheasants?" Xuan Ming grinned. "Qingju, you're underestimating people. A pheasant is a chicken, and a phoenix is a bird. Why can't we try it?" Yilin's eyes flickered, seemingly considering the feasibility of the suggestion, but ultimately, he shook his head. "The Phoenix clan is not someone we can confront head-on." Su Lai sighed. He naturally knew this, but as the tribal chief, he had to be responsible for the lives of his people. "We can only hide as far away as possible, and hope the Phoenix clan doesn't notice our small tribe." The priest nodded. "I will quickly divine a safe location for the migration." Mo Lin looked at the priest. "I know a good place. The Heavenly Mist Canyon. That place is filled with miasma and devoid of birds and beasts. It's a natural foggy canyon. Even a phoenix would get lost there. I hid there for 3 months when the snake tribe was chasing me." A glint flashed in Sulie's eyes. "A good place. Priest, what do you think?" The priest didn't answer. He just pulled out the bone and tortoise shell for divination and began to perform the ritual right there. As the divination continued, the priest's expression grew more serious. The bone and shell in his hand rattled with crisp sounds before he tossed them onto the ground. The bone and shell landed. The priest stared at the hexagram, his brow deeply furrowed. "A great misfortune!" Everyone's hearts tightened. "But within the great misfortune is a chance for survival." The priest suddenly chuckled, revealing his 3 remaining yellow teeth. "The hexagram shows that a noble person will come to our aid." Xuan Ming rolled his eyes. "Old mystic, speak plainly." The priest mysteriously lowered his voice. "The Heavenly Mist Canyon is indeed feasible. However," he pointed sharply at Su Ye, "we have to offer this girl up." "What did you say?" Yilin instantly went on alert, murderous intent radiating from him. "Don't rush. The priest slowly picked up the tortoiseshell. I mean, let Yor pretend to be captured to lure the Phoenix clan into the canyon. Then, he made a gesture of slitting a throat. You set up an ambush inside and kill all the Phoenix clan members. Old man, that's not a bad idea. Once we lure those phoenixes into the deep part of the canyon, we'll make sure they have no return. Xuanming rubbed his hands, eager to try. He then looked at Mo Lin. Then you blow your poison into the air and mix it with the local miasma. We'll have poison on top of poison. That should be enough for those phoenix birds. Qingju coldly jabbed. Do you think phoenixes are stupid? They can recognize and resist the poison. Mo Lin was about to speak when a scarlet little snake suddenly darted out of his sleeve. The snake spat out a cluster of flame, nearly scorching Xuanming's eyebrows. Holy cow! Xuanming recoiled suddenly. Mo Lin, control your son, Su Yue giggled, reaching out to take the playful snake. He can breathe fire right out of his eggshell? A hint of pride flashed in Mo Lin's eyes. He takes after me. Su Yue raised an eyebrow, teasing. But you can't breathe fire. Mo Lin's expression stiffened, and he added without emotion, his innate talent takes after me. Su Yue twitched her mouth, thinking the man was truly conceited. But she didn't continue the argument. Yi Lin's eyes narrowed slightly. The plan was feasible, but Yor couldn't be the bait. Mo Lin and the others felt the same way. Using Yor as bait was too risky, and they were uneasy about it. After some discussion, they finally decided to let Xuanming be the bait. Xuanming, far from objecting, was very excited about being the decoy. And so, the matter was settled. Afterward, the family happily returned to the task of eating, unaware that it was now the night of the full moon, the very time the superior Jade Phoenix clan was scheduled to launch its attack on the Wolf tribe. In the night wind, the voice of the Phoenix clan chief was colder than the chill. Give the order! Attack the inferior Jade immediately! The Phoenix chief's command was like a thunderclap, instantly shattering the silence of the night. The Phoenix clan guards and elders, who had long been prepared, instantly sprang into action. Flames lit up from all directions, and soon they gathered in the empty plaza of Phoenix Perch Valley, waiting for a single command to purge the Wolf tribe. The Phoenix princess, whose face was ulcerated and festering due to the vicious curse she had cast being rebounded by Su Yue, now endured the sharp pain and climbed up from the ground, extremely delighted. She had ordered the attack on the Wolf tribe 2 or 3 days ago, but her brother, Feng Su, had kept suppressing it. Her face, covered in pustules, twisted into an even more distorted smile. Ha ha ha, Su Yue, let's see how you'll die this time. In Su Yue's cave, the stone table was already a mess. Yi Lin was clearing the dishes. Mo Lin was wiping the table, and Qingju was washing the bowls. However, after washing just one, he remembered he was supposed to be tending the fire tonight, so he handed it over to Xuanming. You wash. Xuanming took the tossed ceramic bowl, raised an eyebrow, and looked at Qingju. Tending the fire made you so precious? Tonight, I'm supposed to. Serve, my little moon. Qingju's emerald green eyes gave him a chilling look. A wind blade hovered over his fingertip, a silent threat. Will you wash it or not? Xuanming saw the hovering wind blade and was instantly choked. The bowl spun in his palm. He suddenly tossed it toward Mo Lin. Hey, black longworm, catch! Mo Lin didn't turn his head. His snake tail whipped through the air, knocking the ceramic bowl away. The bowl landed safely back at Qingju's feet. Qingju's face instantly darkened. Su Yue burst out laughing, suddenly feeling that these men were very childish. Yi Lin's eyes flickered red. He seized Xuanming's collar and dragged him outside. Since you don't want to wash, come with me to inform the tribesmen to prepare for the migration. You can also stand guard tonight. Hey, I haven't washed my bowl yet. Xuanming struggled, trying to grab the bowl by Qingju's feet, but Yi Lin just dragged him out of Su Yue's cave. Xuanming's cursing voice drifted in from outside. Yi Lin, you big jerk! It was my turn to snuggle with Little Moon tonight. The voice abruptly cut off, clearly having been muffled. Su Yue shook her head with a smile, got up, and stretched, ready for her beauty sleep. She suddenly noticed the moon was exceptionally round tonight, hanging in the sky like an eagle's eye. Wait, a full moon. She suddenly remembered something and quickly called out to the system in her mind. System, how's the Phoenix clan doing? The system answered lazily. They're already preparing to set off for the inferior Jade realm. However, the Phoenix young master Feng Su has a pretty decent moral compass. To stop his father from attacking the Wolf tribe, he argued fiercely with the old man. In the end, he was slapped a few times, so hard his face is crooked. Even worse, he's been ordered to kneel as punishment. Su Yue silently sympathized with Feng Su, but remembering that the Phoenix Chief had ordered the attack on the wolf tribe, her face became extremely grim. "Go, we must leave tonight. We'll move to the Heavenly Mist Canyon right away." She spun and rushed into Suli's stone house. Entering the room, her left foot tripped over her right, and she nearly fell face first, saved only by grabbing the door frame. She shouted inside, "Ah, Fu! My eyelid has been twitching like crazy. I'm afraid the Phoenix clan has already attacked. To be safe, let's just leave tonight." Sulie, who was picking his teeth, was startled, and his bone splinter poked his gum. "You girl! What's with all the fuss?" Su Yue rushed over and said urgently, "The saying goes, left eye twitching brings wealth, right eye twitching brings disaster. My eyelid has been twitching nonstop. Nothing good is going to happen. Move to the Heavenly Mist Canyon sooner. The tribesmen will be safer, and we'd best leave tonight." Hearing this, the bone splinter in Suli's hand snapped. "Leave tonight?" The priest suddenly looked at him. "A twitching right eye really isn't a good sign." He instantly sprang up from the stone stool, muttering as he walked while holding the tortoiseshell. Go, 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 leave now. The sooner we leave, the safer we'll be." Seeing his old comrade agree, Suli could only sigh. If that's the case, then let's go. At the same time, in the distant sky, several colossal dark phoenixes blotted out the sun, followed by a menacing, dark horde of troops rapidly approaching the wolf tribe. The woman was just taking a bath in the river, but she accidentally fumigated and killed all the fish in the entire river. Unexpectedly, the strong smell was caught by a passing master. He pinched his nose and shouted, "Why does it stink so badly? Are you hiding in the river to poop, girl? You old man! You are the one who poops." Su Yue instinctively yelled back. She looked down and nearly threw up, found the surface of the river where she was, had turned pitch black and was emitting a potent stench. No wonder the old man said it smelled so bad. It turned out that after she drank a reinforcement agent, her body was discharging a lot of toxins. While she was thinking, a few more fish floated to the surface belly up. The old priest hopped back even further. "Whoa, you girl are more poisonous than a marsh toad." Su Yue couldn't be bothered with him. She endured the nausea and scrubbed the filth off her body with effort. Suddenly, she heard the old man on the bank raise his voice by 8 octaves. "Chi refining, 7th layer peak." The old priest rubbed his eyes, then rubbed them again. No matter how he looked, the girl's cultivation was indeed at the 7th layer peak of Kwai refining. He rushed closer to the lake, nearly fainted from the stench, and quickly backed up 2 steps, his old face wrinkling into a chrysanthemum. "Weren't you only at the 4th layer this morning? How did you suddenly?" Su Yue brushed her wet hair back. "My talent is innate." The old priest clearly didn't believe her. "Did you eat some kind of heavenly treasure?" "Yes, I ate a heavenly treasure," Su Yue admitted matter-of-factly. She pulled the last tube of agent from her system backpack and tossed it onto the bank. Since her master was also of the wood spirit root, the wood element reinforcement agent was, of course, safe for him to consume. Eating it was also a good way to prepare for the coming battle of life and death. An extra bit of strength meant a greater chance of winning. The priest fumbled to catch the glass tube. The green liquid, like flowing jade under the moonlight, glistened. "What is this thing? I've never seen it." He hastily pulled open the stopper, and a surge of vitality immediately emanated from within, making him squint slightly and his white beard stick up. He instantly widened his eyes. "Are you drinking it or not? If not, give it back." Su Yue made a move to snatch it back, which scared the old man into tipping his head back and drinking it down in one gulp. The moment the agent was swallowed, his old face instantly crumpled into a painful chrysanthemum. Violent energy exploded within his body. With a howl, he leaped to the ground and sat cross-legged, beginning to frantically guide and absorb the vast medicinal power within. Su Yue watched the process with a smile. "It's a little painful, but you're still hale and hearty. You should be able to endure it." Chuan Ming's voice drifted from the distant camp. "Little Moon, are you done pooping? You didn't fall into the lake, did you? If you don't come back, I'm coming to fish you out." Su Yue quickly called back, "Coming, coming!" As soon as she ran back to the fire pit, Chuan Ming looked at her suspiciously. "Why are you so wet? Did you specifically wash your butt after pooping, or did you fall into the lake?" Mo Lin frowned slightly and considerately tucked her into the hut. "Get in and change quickly. Don't catch a cold." Su Yue didn't argue. She went straight into the hut and changed her bee skin skirt. As for her wet hair, with a thought from her spirit power, it instantly dried. The phoenix attacked meanwhile. In the sky, over a certain part of the inferior jade realm, a rift suddenly tore open in the heavens. Fiery red phoenix shadows streamed out, one after another, like masses of burning flames, aggressively swooping toward the inferior jade realm. This was the Phoenix Clan's massive army, coming to destroy Suyue's tribe. The Phoenix Clan sorcerer greedily inhaled the air around them. Moments later, her eyes suddenly turned venomous and cold as she looked in the direction of the Heavenly Mist Canyon, muttering to herself, "Little mice, so you're hiding here." On the other side, inside the Heavenly Mist Canyon, Suyue was squatting on the ground, using a branch to draw on the dirt, clearly outlining their battle strategy. Just as she was enthusiastically explaining the art of war, the system's voice suddenly rang in her mind. Host, Phoenix Yan, the great sorcerer, has arrived with her elite warriors in the inferior Jade Realm, and has also burned the entire wolf tribe. Her expression instantly turned cold, and the branch in her hand snapped. Yilin keenly sensed her change. "What's wrong?" Her voice was icy. "The Phoenix Clan is in the inferior Jade Realm. Our tribe has been burned. I'm afraid they will soon find our current hiding place." Olin's footsteps instantly stopped. "Did those small animals tell you?" He naturally assumed she had heard something, since she could communicate with all living things. Suyue glanced at Molin and didn't deny it. "The battle plan and traps are set, but what I fear most is that if the Phoenix Clan can't find anyone, they will be enraged and might set the mountain on fire regardless. At that point, we'd be exposed with nowhere to hide." Xuanming, who was quietly listening on the side, looked at her and scoffed. "Set the mountain on fire? They've made a huge mistake then. Don't forget, I'm a dragon, I can bring rain, and spray water." Suyue's eyes instantly lit up like the sun when she heard this. "You're right, you can bring rain to put out the fire, and you can use the water mist to worsen the miasma in the canyon, making it even harder for them to discern directions." Xuanming curved his lips into a smile. "Exactly! I'll guard the top of the canyon. If they dare to set a fire, I'll let them taste what it's like for a phoenix to turn into a drenched chicken." Sulie's face was extremely grim, his heart heavy. Anyone who heard that their home had been destroyed would feel terrible. His hands instantly clenched, cracking his knuckles. "These feathered mutts, I will make sure they have no return." Yilin quickly informed the tribesmen. "Everyone, conceal yourselves. Don't come out for any reason." He then looked at the 3 wolf pups and 8 snakelets. "Especially you. No playing around or showing your heads, understand?" Suyu knew the young ones were very mischievous. She simply waved her hand and put them all into her spatial storage. "I'll just stuff them in here. It's safer." Her action was like a magic trick, leaving everyone stunned, but they didn't ask further. The most important thing now was to prepare for the coming battle. Ambush in the mists. Meanwhile, at the entrance to the Heavenly Mist Canyon, Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan led a group of Phoenix elite warriors, cautiously navigating the pervasive, poisonous mist. The 2 stone-tier sacrificial offerings, Feng Qi and Feng Lei, walked by her side. Phoenix Qiwu, the princess, was wrapped in a cloak, her whole body festering and swollen. It was difficult even to walk, but she insisted on coming. She utterly hated Suyue. She not only wanted to watch that wretched female die, but also wanted to personally peel her skin off. Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan's staff heavily struck the ground. "Everyone take and swallow a detoxification pill. This mist is toxic." A young Phoenix warrior disdainfully kicked aside a vine, blocking the path. "Mere inferior jade miasma." Before he could finish, his feet were suddenly entangled by vines, and he was violently swung upside down into the bushes. Amidst his screams, countless wooden thorns shot up from the ground, impaling him like a sieve. The remaining Phoenix warriors were terrified, and quickly drew their weapons, nervously looking around. Unfortunately, the dense miasma obscured their vision. All they could see was a stretch of white fog and the blood-soaked figure of the Phoenix warrior hanging from a tree branch. "Something's wrong!" Feng Li narrowed his eyes, and a cluster of Phoenix True Fire ignited on his fingertip. Under the illumination of the firelight, surrounding vines suddenly twisted like countless awakened venomous snakes and retreated. Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan heavily plunged her bone staff into the ground, and a wall of fire instantly rose. Almost simultaneously, the blood-stained vines burst open. A dark green poisonous substance mixed into the miasma. Several Phoenix warriors who were too slow to react instantly covered their faces and screamed. Their skin festered and bled at a visible rate. Feng Li's face drastically changed. He instantly unfurled his wings to protect himself. "The Vine Snake Clan's poison!" The other stone tier sacrificial offering, Feng Qi, frowned and looked around. "How can the Vine Snake Clan's poison be here?" Feng Li shook his head. He didn't know either. Just then, a rustling sound came from the depths of the dense fog, as if something was quickly slithering. Suddenly, a black shadow flashed past like lightning. The outermost Phoenix warrior didn't even have time to react before he was dragged into the poisonous mist. A heart-wrenching scream followed, and he vanished in the blink of an eye. The unsettling scene sent shivers down their spines. Phoenix Chiwu tightly wrapped her cloak around herself, looking around with a pale face. Cold sweat broke out on her back. If I had known this place was so strange, I wouldn't have come. "Stop playing tricks! Come out!" Feng Li suddenly yelled, and his flamestorm of fire rain shot toward the sound's origin. The surrounding ancient trees and forest were instantly illuminated, revealing something hanging from the branches. A dozen wind-dried corpses of ghost-faced pigs glowing with an eerie green light. Phoenix Chiwu screamed and stumbled back, but her foot was suddenly entangled by something. With a sharp tug, she lost her balance and fell heavily to the ground. She was then dragged away at high speed, vanishing before everyone's eyes. Phoenix Chiwu's screams abruptly ceased. The canyon returned to a deadly silence. The only thing the group could hear was a faint sound of chewing, which was unnervingly clear in the quiet canyon. Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan and the two stone-tier sacrificial offerings had extremely grim expressions. Phoenix Chiwu was the clan chief's daughter, and now she had died here. Just thinking about how furious the clan chief would be made them realize they, too, would face severe consequences. The Great Sorcerer's bone staff was deeply embedded in the ground. Her clouded old eyes were filled with rage. "Burn it for me. Burn this hellhole to ashes," with her command. The Phoenix Elite Warriors instantly transformed into their true forms and began spewing Phoenix True Fire toward the surrounding forests and mountains. The fierce flames instantly spread, and in the blink of an eye, fire shot up to the heavens, illuminating the entire Heavenly Mist Canyon. In the thick smoke, Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan suddenly pulled out an ancient bell, started shaking it frantically, and chanted, "Soul, return! Come back!" A cold wind surged. Phoenix Chiwu's festering corpse suddenly twitched violently. A wisp of her remaining soul was violently dragged out, twisting into a blurry human form in the flames. Suyue, hiding behind an ancient tree 100 meters away, inquired internally, "System, what is the old witch doing?" The system lazily replied, "The old witch is summoning the soul. Phoenix Chiwu is the clan chief's daughter. If she's truly dead, the old witch will be peeled of a layer of skin when she goes back. Judging by this, she probably wants to find a physical body for possession." Suyue felt a chill down her spine. Possession? The old witch knows about that too? Although the old witch is extremely wicked, she is, after all, the Phoenix clan's great sorcerer. She does have some tricks up her sleeve, though they're all sinister ones, the system replied, then added gleefully, "Host, this body of yours is virtually perfect. It's an ideal target for possession." "Bullshit! I'll kill this old hag first." At this moment, dark clouds gathered above the canyon. Xuan Ming had transformed into a 100-meter golden dragon and was about to descend. Suddenly, he sensed something and looked at the void with a look of surprise. "Third uncle!" From the clouds, a colossal green dragon poked its head out. It was Xuan Yuan Xuan, who had been hiding in the dark. "Get out of the way, stinky brat! Let this old man's overturning rivers and seas do the work." Torrents of rain poured down, instantly extinguishing the fiercely burning Phoenix True Fire. Feng Li's expression changed drastically. He instantly transformed into a fire phoenix and soared into the night sky. "Xuan Yuan Xuan, what is the meaning of this?" "Feng Li, you old fool. What kind of skill is it to bully a small tribe in the inferior Jade Realm?" Feng Li immediately glared furiously. "Xuan Yuan Xuan, mind your own business. This wolf tribe is at odds with my Phoenix clan. They must be annihilated today." "At odds?" Xuan Yuan Xuan sneered. That little girl, Phoenix Chiwu, was digging her own grave. Who's to blame but herself? Suyue looked up at the night sky and instantly understood. This was likely the noble person the system had mentioned. Knowing that the dragon was here to help the wolf tribe, she let out a sigh of relief. Below, Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan's face was ashen. She shook the soul summoning bell even harder. Phoenix Chiwu's residual soul twisted and struggled in the fire, emitting a shrill wail. "Great Sorcerer, save me!" Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan gritted her teeth. "Xuan, Yuan, Xuan, is your dragon clan declaring war on my Phoenix clan?" The green dragon circled in the clouds, its whiskers flying. "Old woman, don't pin that label on me! Your Phoenix clan oppresses others by relying on your power, and doesn't even spare a small tribe in the inferior Jade Realm. Do you still have the face to talk about war?" The heavy rain washed through the canyon, completely extinguishing the residual flames. Feng Li, in his Fire Phoenix form, let out an enraged cry, and a sky full of flames, like a volcanic eruption, surged toward Xuan Yuan Xuan. "Third uncle, be careful!" Xuan Ming, his dragon tail swishing, was about to rush up. "Stinky brat, don't interfere!" Xuan Yuan Xuan's dragon claw swept out, raising a towering curtain of water mist that blocked the approaching inferno. The green dragon and the fire phoenix quickly began to fight in the air. Flames and water mist intertwined, and the roar of their battle echoed across the sky. Almost simultaneously, a shard of ice crystal shot through the air, precisely piercing the throat of a phoenix warrior. Yilin's red eyes flashed with chilling light. His bone wings unfurled, hovering in midair, and he launched 7 more bone spears in quick succession. Molin's snake tail, laced with potent venom, swept horizontally, slamming 3 phoenix warriors into the marsh. Jingju's fingertips spun with razor-sharp blades, his emerald eyes locking onto the panicked enemies. Boom! Xuanming's nether darkfire suddenly shot up from the ground, burning 2 phoenix warriors who screamed and rolled on the ground. Suli transformed into a crazed old wolf, venting the anger of losing his home with every strike. "Old witch, take this!" The priest's bone staff suddenly erupted with green light, and countless vines twisted and bound Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan's legs. The scene instantly descended into chaos. Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan stumbled, entangled by the vines, and nearly dropped the ancient bell in her hand. Her clouded old eyes suddenly fixed on a figure vaguely discernible in a patch of dense fog. "Found you!" Her withered fingers quickly formed a hand seal. Phoenix Chiwu's residual soul shrieked and lunged toward Suyue. "You're..." Xuanming's dragon eyes contracted, and his 100-meter dragon body dove down. Yet, Suyue neither dodged nor retreated. A transparent shield suddenly appeared all over her body, like an eggshell. Bang! The instant the residual soul collided with the shield, the system's voice rang in Suyue's mind. "Oh, no you don't. You want to possess my host right in front of me? Do you think I'm easy to mess with?" Phoenix Chiwu's residual soul bounced back, as if hitting a spring, letting out a heart-wrenching wail. "Is this the thing that's sending you on your way?" Suyue stared at Phoenix Chiwu's residual soul and sneered. Magic spells were useless against the soul. Her mental power instantly condensed into a needle, ready to completely obliterate the residual soul. A scream suddenly came from afar from Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan. "Stop!" The old witch's cloak exploded, and her withered hand violently snatched toward the residual soul. Almost simultaneously, the hair on her back bristled. Su Yu didn't even have time to look back before she was struck heavily on the back. She was sent flying backward, spitting out a mouthful of blood, and falling to the ground in a pathetic heap. She abruptly turned around and saw that the attacker was a white-haired old man with an extremely terrifying aura. He was walking toward her with a cold sneer, phoenix flame swirling in his left palm. This was Feng Qi, the other stone-tier sacrificial offering from the Phoenix clan. "You're..." Yilin noticed the situation. His red eyes flashed fiercely, his bone wings violently slammed, knocking away the 2 Phoenix warriors who were attacking him. "Get out of the way!" Just as he was about to rush over to rescue her, 3 elite Phoenix warriors pounced on him simultaneously. Flames scorched his fur. His back and bone wings were torn and bloody from their sharp claws, wounds so deep the bone was visible. Mo Lin was naturally also frantic inside, but he too was entangled by countless fire phoenixes. His black scales were scorched and peeling from the phoenix true fire. A terrible sight. Qingzhu had just bitten through the throat of one attacker when his abdomen was ripped open by the sharp claw of another fire phoenix. He ignored the pain and was about to rush towards Suyui when he was blocked by 2 more fire phoenixes. Xuanming's black wolf fur was singed and scorched. Several patches of his flesh and blood had been torn off, yet he didn't retreat at all, fighting desperately against the fire phoenixes. Su Lai, transformed into a giant wolf, bit through the neck of an enemy, but was forced back by a blast of fire, just as he was about to rush to his daughter's aid. The old Wolf King's claws were scorched black, yet he kept snarling and charging forward. Xuanming was stopped by Xuan Yuanshuan. "Stinky brat, don't go over there. That old fool Feng Qi is not someone you can handle. Get lost." Feng Qi's giant flame palm struck out, batting away Xuanming, who was trying to rescue his mistress. In the nick of time, a black shadow darted forward like lightning. Xuanming's sharp claws slashed across Feng Qi's cheek, leaving 3 bloody gashes on the face of the stone tier sacrificial offering. "You beast!" Feng Qi roared in fury. His giant flame palm slammed toward Xuanming. Such an enraged blow from a powerful stone tier expert was too much for Xuanming. Even though he was a T-tier peak nether dark wolf, he was instantly swatted away, smashing heavily into a tree trunk and sliding to the ground. He coughed up a mouthful of blood, struggling to get up, but he couldn't muster any strength. He could only watch helplessly as Feng Qi walked toward Su Yue. "Xuanming!" Su Yue watched in horror as Xuanming was swatted away. Raging, she got up, wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, and her palm shot out with vines like venomous snakes, striking straight for Feng Qi's eyes. "Trivial tricks!" Feng Qi sneered. The flames on his fingertips instantly incinerated the vines, and his sharp phoenix claw stabbed toward Su Yue's throat. The woman simply stuck a talisman on her enemy. He instantly turned into an obedient dog, kneeling on the ground, and uncontrollably called her mistress. This sight made the jaws of everyone on the battlefield drop. The mighty stone tier old phoenix was now kneeling on the ground like a dog, respectfully calling Su Yue her mistress. "Good boy." Su Yue wiped the blood from her lips, grabbed Feng Qi's hair, and forced him to look up. "Go kill that old witch, and then burn Phoenix Qi Wu's soul to death." Feng Qi resisted fiercely inside, but his body shot toward Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan like an arrow released from a bow. The moment he charged at the Phoenix Great Sorcerer, the entire battlefield seemed to hit the pause button. Yilin's eyes were filled with confusion, though she was relieved that Yuer was out of danger and could now focus on the killing without distraction. Mo Lin's cold snake eyes glanced over with surprise. His snake tail was still wrapped around the neck of a phoenix warrior, his shock indescribable. Chingchu's emerald green eyes flashed with cold light. The scene just witnessed was so shocking that he thought it was an illusion. The Phoenix Stone Tier sacrificial offering, who was just murderous moments ago, had now knelt down and called Su Yue his mistress as if he were possessed. Even seeing it with his own eyes, he found it unbelievable. But this instantly reversed the situation. "Kill!" He endured the pain from his abdominal wound, and his fingertip blades rained down like a storm, instantly slaughtering the surrounding enemies. "Old fool, are you crazy?" The other stone tier sacrificial offering. Feng Li sharply turned in the air, trying to rush over and stop him, nearly crashing into the cliff face. Great Sorcerer Phoenix Yan's cloak exploded. Her withered fingers trembled as she pointed at her former companion, furiously cursing. "Feng Qi, you old bastard! Did you take the wrong medicine?" The response was a blast of Phoenix True Fire. In the stunned gaze of everyone, the Phoenix Stone Tier sacrificial offering personally crushed the Great Sorcerer's head and tossed it aside like trash. Phoenix Qi Wu's residual soul let out a piercing scream, twisting as it tried to flee, but it was swallowed by the Phoenix True Fire shot from Feng Qi's palm. "No!" The residual soul vanished into blue smoke in the flames. "You old monster, you're asking for death!" Feng Li charged over in a rage, cursing Feng Qi thousands of times in his heart. He had no idea what had possessed his old comrade today. Yan Xuan, who was fighting him, didn't bother to intervene. Let the two old fools, Feng Li and Feng Qi, fight among themselves like dogs biting dogs. They were usually inseparable. Seeing them fight like this was going to be fun. At the same time, in the Beast King city, the funeral of the old Beast King had just ended. Bai Qi, White Flag, stood on the high platform, preparing for the enthronement ceremony. Suddenly, a violent burning pain shot through the companion mark on his chest. His face instantly changed color. In an instant, his 10 tiger tails exploded behind him like a blood-red screen. Bai Qi tore off his crown and looked at the elder next to him. "Nine-winged flying beast, immediately, Several elders rushed forward to stop him. "Your Highness, no! The enthronement ceremony is not yet complete." Baichi was frantic, his beautiful fox eyes filled with cold light. "The fate of my companion is 10,000 times more important than the ceremony. First Elder, immediately gather 300 elites and follow me to the Heavenly Mist Canyon, now." Although the First Elder was confused, he dared not delay and quickly summoned the men. Soon, a mighty contingent rushed toward the Heavenly Mist Canyon. In the depths of the Heavenly Mist Canyon, the situation had been completely reversed. Su Yue sat on the ground, using her ability to heal her injuries, but her gaze was fixed on the air not far away. There, Feng Qi and Feng Li, the two old phoenixes, were locked in a duel. Xuan Yuan, in his green dragon form, was coiled in the clouds, watching the show. At first, he didn't understand what was happening, but upon careful thought, he figured it out. It was clearly the girl who had secretly used a slave seal on Feng Qi, and a very sophisticated one at that. He didn't know how the girl had done it, but this wasn't the time to ask. The most important thing was to enjoy the gossip and the fight. Although Feng Qi was controlled by Su Yue, his actual strength was undiminished. He and Feng Li fought fiercely. The two phoenixes fought from mid-air to the ground, and from the ground to the mountainside. Flames splattered and mountains crumbled wherever they went. While healing, Su Yue didn't forget to cheer for Feng Qi. "Old man Feng Qi, come on, don't lose." Everyone was speechless. It was the first time they had witnessed a battle fought like this. It was simply too bizarre. Feng Li was so angry, his face was turning blue. He had absolutely no idea what was going on. He had known Feng Qi for decades and knew how proud and arrogant the other man was. It was impossible for him to betray the Phoenix clan, let alone willingly serve a little girl as his master. There had to be something strange going on. "Feng Qi, what the hell is wrong with you?" Feng Li dodged a killing blow and roared in anger. "Are you truly betraying the Phoenix clan?" A flicker of struggle crossed Feng Qi's face when he heard this. He naturally didn't want to betray the Phoenix clan, but his body was completely out of his control and could only obey Su Yue's commands. Just as he was about to speak, Su Yue's voice rang out. "Feng Qi, stop wasting time! Hurry up and take down that old phoenix!" A trace of resignation flashed in Feng Qi's eyes. He could only continue his attack. He fiercely charged toward Feng Li. The Phoenix True Fire ignited instantly in the rain, forcing the opponent to crash down from the sky. "You old monster! Are you insane?" Feng Li miserably smashed into the swamp, his body, face, mouth, nose, and eyes all covered in mud. The sensation was terrible. Just as he was struggling to get up, he suddenly caught a glimpse of a graceful figure standing at the edge of the muddy pool. Su Yu had arrived at the swamp's edge without anyone noticing. She held the last soul contract talisman between her fingers, her lips curled into a mischievous arc. "Old man Feng Li, isn't the moonlight beautiful?" Slap! The talisman instantly flew from her fingers, turning into a golden light that sank into his body as Feng Li stared in shock. Feng Li's body stiffened, stuck right there in the swamp. To his horror, he found that his neck was uncontrollably bowing, and his knees were bending to kneel in the mud. Feng Li pays his respects to Master! The entire battlefield pressed the pause button again. Everyone stared blankly at the kneeling Feng Li in the swamp, their hearts shaking beyond words. The remaining Phoenix Clan elders, faces turned pale. "Retreat!" With his command, the remaining Phoenix elite warriors transformed into fire phoenixes and soared into the sky, vanishing into the distance. On the ground, the warriors of the wolf tribe began to clean up the mess. The air was thick with the smell of blood. Su Yu looked at the scene before her, her heart a mix of emotions. Although they had won the battle, it was a Pyrrhic victory. The wolf tribe had suffered heavy losses, with most of their elite beastmen dead. Eifu, Su Li, had been knocked unconscious by Feng Qi and still hadn't woken up. They didn't know if he was dead or what. Qingju's abdomen had been ripped open, and blood stained his emerald green wolf fur. Xuanming was even more tragic, covered in blood, barely recognizable. Yilin and Mo Lin were similarly terrible, though slightly better off and still had the strength to fight. Ignoring their own injuries, the two men rushed to Su Yue's side. Are you all right?" Yilin anxiously scrutinized her, his silver eyes filled with worry. Mo Lin silently checked her body, only letting out a slight sigh of relief when he found she was fine. Su Yue smiled and shook her head. "I'm fine. Look, I even got 2 powerful mounts." She pointed at Feng Li kneeling in the swamp and Feng Qi nearby. The two men followed her gaze and were instantly speechless. These were the Phoenix clan's stone-tier sacrificial offerings, and they had been subdued just like that. How did you do it? Yilin asked curiously. She chuckled mysteriously. Secret weapon! Can't tell you. Yilin and Molin shook their heads, amused, knowing Yor had her secrets, and they didn't press further. Qingju struggled to walk over, gritting his teeth through the pain. Yeah! Save your brother first. He's dying. These words were like a bucket of ice water poured over Su Yue's head. Her expression changed, and she frantically searched for Su Mu. She saw him, not far away, barely clinging to life, a deep, bone-visible wound on his neck gushing blood. His fur was completely soaked red. Su Yue rushed over, her hand trembling as she placed it on Su Mu's wound, activating her wood element ability. A gentle green light enveloped his body, stabilizing his injuries. Since her cultivation had broken through to the 7th layer of Qi refining, her wood element healing ability had naturally also upgraded to the Qi tier. A Qi tier healing ability could not only treat wounds, but also bring the dying back to life, and even regrow severed limbs. Su Mu's breathing gradually stabilized, and the bleeding stopped. She let out a sigh of relief, knowing her brother's life was temporarily safe. Next, she began treating Qingju. Qingju's injuries were also very serious. His abdomen had been torn open. Green light surged in her palm as it gently rested on the gruesome wound. Qingju let out a muffled groan, but still forced a small smile. It's just a small injury. Shut up! Su Yue glared at him, increasing the power in her fingers. The wood element ability permeated the wound like a gentle stream. The shattered internal organs slowly began to reconstruct in the green light. Qingju arched his body in pain, but didn't utter a sound. The mud pit not far away suddenly gurgled. Feng Li, his head covered in mud, climbed out. He made a huge effort to suppress the groaning Xuan Ming who was licking his wounds. His expression instantly collapsed, and he hastily backed away. The old phoenix humbly knelt properly. Master, do you need your servant to drag Xuan Ming over for you? Su Yue interrupted without lifting her head, though she saw Mo Lin using his snake tail to gently bring the unconscious Afu over. Black scales were scorched, peeling off in large patches, and his wounds were horrifying. Yi Lin slowly stood up. I'll go check the casualties. The priest's bone staff was stuck in the pool of blood, a clear light enveloping over a dozen severely injured tribesmen. Half of the old man's white beard was singed, but he hummed. Ayo, the treasure Yor gave me before the battle was really good. If I hadn't broken through temporarily, this old body of mine would have been ruined. Wu Yi, who was using his wood element ability to treat Su Li, suddenly turned and yelled at the priest. Old man, your vines are poking my wounded. Accident, an accident! The priest smiled sheepishly and retracted the errant vines, focusing on healing the tribesmen. Feng Li dragged the half-dead Xuan Ming over. When Xuan Ming saw Su Yue, he suddenly bounced up like a spring, his eyes shining as he stared at her. Little Moon, I want to consummate our marriage tonight. Lie down. Su Yue slapped him back down. You're half dead and still thinking about that? Green light swept over his jagged, bone-exposed wounds, making the nether-dark wolf roll his eyes in pain before lying back down on the ground. Xuan Ming landed and transformed into his human form, also starting to help clean up the battlefield. The night wind carried a dragon's roar from the clouds. Stinky brats? Since you're all safe, this old man will be leaving now. With that, he transformed into a green dragon, tumbled a few times in the sea of clouds, and quickly vanished. At this point, Feng Qi and Feng Li, the two stone-tier sacrificial offerings, stood respectfully behind Su Yue like two statues. Without Su Yue's command, they dared not move. The tribesmen occasionally stole glances at them, both in awe and curiosity. Suddenly, a commotion arose in the distance. Bai Qi arrived with the elite of Beast King City. His 10 snowy white tiger tails flowed like clouds in the moonlight. Behind him followed 300 Beast King City warriors, each one with a powerful aura. Yor! Bai Qi spotted Su Yue, who was focused on saving people right away. Seeing she was all right, the huge worry he had carried the whole way was finally relieved. He quickly walked over, but stopped abruptly when he saw Feng Qi and Feng Li. These are the two new mounts I just acquired. Su Yue winked at Bai Qi. They're stone-tier old phoenixes, too. Bai Qi was stunned. The group of elders following behind him all exchanged bewildered glances. A stone-tier old phoenix was subdued by this female just like that? Is this real? Baichi suppressed the shock in his heart with a forced cough. I'm sorry, Yura. I came late and you got hurt. I'm fine. Look, I'm doing great, Sue smiled at him. All right. Hurry up and help settle the wounded. Baichi's beautiful fox eyes curved slightly, his 10 tails wagging happily behind him. Your wish is my command, my little moon. No sooner had he spoken than a rush of hurried footsteps came from the distance. An elite Beast King City warrior ran in quickly, kneeling on one knee before Baichi. Reporting, Beast King! I was ordered to investigate the wolf tribe and found that the entire tribe has been reduced to scorched earth. The stone houses, caves, and all buildings are all ruins. Although the wolf tribe members had already learned this news from Suyue, hearing the destruction of their home again still filled them with immense sorrow and rage. Xuanming's wolf eyes turned bloodshot. He roared with a livid face. The Phoenix Clan! Those feathered mutts! I will personally go to the superior Jade Realm and stir up their nest one day. Based on you? Feng Qi suddenly interjected coldly. The guards at the Phoenix Clan gates are stronger than you. He shut up after being glared at by Su Yue. The Beast King City warrior reporting the news hesitated for a moment, then added, Your servant also discovered that several tribes along the way were also destroyed, seemingly as a casual act of spite. Baichi's beautiful fox eyes narrowed. The Phoenix Clan is venting their anger. Su Yue's hand, which was healing a wounded person, suddenly paused. She had not only implicated her own tribe, but other tribes as well. She felt like a disaster star who brought calamity wherever she went. Her fingertips trembled, and the green light in her palm flickered. Yi Lin saw her low spirits. He reached out from behind and held her hand. Yura, this is not your fault. Xuanming also walked over with a complicated expression. The Phoenix Clan is a behemoth in the superior Jade Realm. Hey are used to acting arrogantly. They would have found another excuse even without you. Don't blame yourself, it has nothing to do with you. Qingju's fingertips spun with blades, his emerald eyes filled with cold light. Those feathered bastards will pay for this one day. I will make sure of it. Exactly. Xuanming bared his teeth, showing his white fangs. 4 great divine beasts, my ass! I will turn the Phoenix Clan's old nest upside down one day. Feng Qi wanted to scoff again, but remembering his master, he silently shut up. Su Yue looked at the men around her, suppressing the guilt and sadness in her heart. I will remember this grudge. I will make them pay it back, one by one someday, whether for myself, for the wolf tribe, or for those innocent people who were implicated. Baichi gently caressed her face, his eyes full of distress. Don't worry, Yura. I will be with you in whatever you do. I know. But the crisis isn't over yet. The Phoenix Princess and Great Sorcerer are dead, 2 stone-tier sacrificial offerings have defected, and the Phoenix Clan suffered heavy casualties. They won't let this go easily. Feng Qi's expression also became grim. The clan chief doted on his daughter the most. Now that she's dead, I'm afraid he'll mobilize all his forces and personally lead an army to the inferior Jade Realm. Everyone fell silent, accompanied by a deep sense of powerlessness. Just as Su Yue was racking her brain for a solution, the system's voice suddenly rang in her mind. Hidden task triggered. Win Feng Su's affection. Use his power to reverse the unfavorable situation and resolve the wolf tribe's crisis. Task completion reward. Soul contract talismans. 3. God tier luck cards. 3. Super purification pills. 3. Su Yue's mouth twitched when she heard the voice in her mind. She felt the tasks the dog system gave were getting increasingly bizarre. Win Feng Su's affection? That flashy, showy peacock who was so crazy he wanted to marry her the moment he saw her? She couldn't avoid him fast enough. Thinking of Feng Su's face, which bloomed into a radiant smile, made her scalp crawl. But then again, that Feng Su did have an undeniably handsome face. To resolve the current crisis, it wouldn't hurt to try. Just as she was pondering, a sharp cry suddenly echoed in the distance. So Yue looked up and saw a fiery red figure descending from the sky. With his feather robe fluttering, Feng Su's handsome, almost bewitching face appeared in everyone's sight. The woman had just finished killing the Phoenix Clan princess. Who knew that a second later, the princess's brother would show up, radiating murderous intent? Just as the woman was frantically figuring out a way to deal with him, the man, uncharacteristically said, "A good kill." This completely stumped Su Yue. She hadn't expected the flamboyant man to say that. Hey, is your head okay? I killed your sister just now. She led people to purge the wolf tribe, and I killed her in self-defense. Feng Su suddenly chuckled, his eyes full of sarcasm. That bastard doesn't deserve to be my sister. If she's dead, she's dead. For the sake of all these years we were siblings, I don't mind personally digging a hole to bury her. This reaction once again stunned everyone. They hadn't expected the frivolous Phoenix young master's sister not to be his biological sister. Feng Su leisurely patted non-existent dust from his gorgeous red feather robe, then suddenly knelt on one knee, lifting Su Yue's hand. His peach blossom eyes were filled with deep affection. Little female, we meet again. Since our hurried parting last time, this young master has thought of you day and night. Feng Su suddenly leaned in, his finger lifting her chin. Little female, you've solved a big problem for me. How should this young master thank you? Xuanming slapped his hand away. Flamboyant bastard! Get away from your... None of your business. Feng Su rolled his eyes. He turned back to Su Yue, smiling with a captivating charm. How about I offer myself to you? Su Yue's mouth twitched. This peacock changed expressions faster than turning a page. Yi Lin's silver eyes were full of icy coldness. Young Master Feng, please mind your words. Feng Su was unperturbed. He suddenly lowered his voice. But you know, the old man, clan chief, doted on that bastard the most. When he finds out she's dead, he'll probably explode in rage and personally lead an army to kill everyone here. Aren't you scared? Su Yu couldn't help but retort, what if I am? What if I'm not? Feng Su blinked. Kiss me, and I'll solve this problem for you. The moment those words left his mouth, the entire camp instantly erupted. You're asking for a beating! Xuanming's dark golden eyes surged with fury. He swung a punch straight at Feng Su's handsome, punchable face. Even if he was his cousin, he'd punch him first and ask questions later. Feng Su gracefully leaped back, his crimson feather robe fluttering in the night wind. The punch grazed past his nose, catching a few strands of hair. Cousin, why so angry? His peach blossom eyes twinkled. When the two closed in again, his finger suddenly hooked Xuanming's chin. Cousin, you look so amusing when you're angry. Xuanming's dark golden eyes burned brighter with rage. He violently slapped Feng Su's hand away. Feng Su, don't push it! His dragon tail, however, viciously swept toward Feng Su's legs. Ouch! Feng Su was struck a staggering blow. A tear ripped open his pants leg, exposing his pale white calf. Not only did he not get angry, but he also threw a flirty wink at Su Yue. Little female, look! Your male tore my clothes! Su Yue's mouth twitched. This flamboyant man couldn't even fight without being provocative. She was about to speak when Bai Chi's fluffy tiger tail wrapped around Jiu Ju's waist. He had somehow sneaked up on her. His warm breath was right next to her ear. Quote, who do you think is better looking, me or that phoenix? If you're gonna fight, fight far away. Yi Lin yanked Su Yue out of Bai Chi's embrace. His bright eyes looked toward Feng Su. Mind your words and actions, or don't blame me for being impolite. Xuanming suddenly pounced from the side. Little Moon, ignore them. It's my turn to snuggle with you tonight. How about we find a quiet place? Before you finished speaking, Qingju appeared out of nowhere and blurted out coldly, if you keep arguing, it'll be canceled. He then jumped onto Xuanming. Xuanming's face instantly darkened and his voice shot up 8 octaves. Dead bamboo, why do you get to jump the line? Molin's snaketail silently hooked Su Yue into his arms. Keep arguing and it will be canceled. Xuanming paused for 10 seconds, but his gaze was fixed on Qingju. You dead bamboo, you just wait. Feng Su suddenly laughed. He twisted a strand of his hair and looked at the group. Interesting. 6 top-tier beast husbands, fighting for a turn. He suddenly leaned close to Su Yue, his peach blossom eyes swimming with captivating light. Why don't you come back to the Phoenix clan with me? I'll be with you every day. Bang! Xuanming's and Yelin's fists swung simultaneously. Feng Su's feather robe was instantly ripped to shreds. He didn't get angry. He just rolled onto the ground and ended up right at Su Li's feet. Father-in-law, they're bullying me! Su Li, who was drinking water, immediately spat it out when he heard this. The old Wolf King glared at the self-familiar Phoenix young master, his beard twitching in anger. Who is your father-in-law? Feng Qi and Feng Li, the 2 old phoenixes, were already used to Feng Su's erratic behavior, so the scene before them didn't surprise them. Su Yue finally exploded. Everyone calm down! She pulled the dramatic Feng Su up from the ground. Feng Su, what should we do if your father leads an army here? Feng Su took hold of her wrist, magically pulling out a fiery red scale and sticking it into her hair. You accept my token of betrothal, and I'll go back and talk to the old man. His fingers rubbed against Suyue's wrist, smiling like a cat who'd stolen fish. I'll tell him I've fallen for you and that I won't marry anyone else. If the old man dares to harm you or the wolf tribe, I'll go on a hunger strike, hang myself, and commit suicide. Even though the old man doesn't like me, I'm his only son. He can't possibly watch me die, can he? Xuanming's handsome face instantly turned black. This flashy bastard was learning his moves. This phoenix truly deserved a beating. His fist was about to swing again. Don't get excited, cousin. Feng Su flung his fiery red feather robe, nimbly dodging behind Suyue. This move works every time. The old man is most afraid of me going on a hunger strike. Bai Qi's 10 tiger tails swayed dangerously behind him. Young Master Feng, are you treating this as a game? How could it be a game? Feng Su suddenly leaned close to Suyue, twisting a lock of her hair around his finger. If the old man dares to harm you, I'll go to his sleeping quarters every day and wail, saying he forced my mother to her death and is now trying to force my beloved to her death. I'll tell him I'm going to follow her in death. If the news gets back to the Dragon Clan and reaches my uncle's ears, he absolutely won't let that old monster off the hook. Everyone present was stunned. Xuanming's eyes suddenly fixed on him. What did you say? Didn't my aunt die of illness? A cold glint flashed in Feng Su's eyes. It was just an excuse for that old monster to cover up the truth. Rage surged in Xuanming's dark golden eyes. That old monster deserves to die. Poor auntie, she was so devoted. If Afu had known Feng Shao was so despicable back then, he probably never would have agreed to let auntie marry him. Suyue subconsciously touched the fiery red scale in her hair. It was hot to the touch. Just as she tried to take it off, Feng Su grabbed her wrist. Little female, this is my destiny spiritual scale. Taking it off will kill me. Xuanming grabbed Feng Su's collar. Take the scale back. Don't force me to turn on you. Feng Su let him grab him, the smile in his peach blossom eyes unfading. Cousin, what are you worried about? You already has 6 beast husbands. What's one more? Bai Qi's 10 tiger tails swayed dangerously behind him, his voice terrifyingly gentle. Feng Su, we regret what happened to your mother, but that's not a reason for you to harass Yu'er. Feng Su suddenly dropped the playful smile. Who said I was harassing her? I sincerely want to help the wolf tribe. He turned to Suyue, kneeling on one knee and taking her hand. And I'm sincerely proposing to you. Molin's snake tail abruptly wrapped around Suyue's waist, pulling her back. The wolf tribe doesn't need your help. Yu'er doesn't need you. Feng Su stood up, looking at Molin with a smirk. Oh, are you so sure? Do you know the Phoenix clan's power? If the old man gets serious, your wolf tribe might not be able to withstand it. The atmosphere immediately grew serious and tense. Yi Lin's eyes were icy, and his bone wings instantly unfurled. Young Master Feng, is that a threat? Feng Su was nonchalant. How could it be? I'm merely stating facts. Mo Lin's dark eyes stared at Feng Su. So, what is your purpose? Feng Su's lips curled slightly. He suddenly leaned close to Suyue's ear and whispered, It's simple. Let me be your 7th beast husband. Little fish, I genuinely like you. From the first time we met, I felt you were very special. So special that I think of you day and night and can't sleep. My mind is filled with you. Although his voice was flirtatious and suggestive, his expression was surprisingly sincere. Suyu's eyes widened. This flamboyant man is serious. Yi Lin and the others, faces instantly darkened, their gazes all directed at Feng Su. The atmosphere became instantly volatile. Feng Su, however, seemed oblivious to the surrounding tension, still smiling captivatingly at her. Little Moon, consider it. If you accept me, not only will the wolf tribe's crisis be solved, but you'll also gain another handsome and capable beast husband. Why not? Suyue's mouth twitched. This flamboyant man's cheek was unbelievably thick. Just as she was about to refuse, the system's voice suddenly rang in her mind. Host, have you forgotten the hidden task? Accept Feng Su, and you can conquer him to gain affection points. Plus, I have good news. Feng Su's favorability is not low. She was stunned. Only then did she remember the task the dog system had given. She sighed helplessly. It seemed she couldn't get rid of this Feng Su. To be honest, she didn't hate Feng Su. She just felt this man was too flirtatious and unreliable. So Yue looked at Feng Su's ridiculously handsome face, the picture of a man who could ruin a kingdom, fighting a battle within herself. Although this flamboyant man seemed untrustworthy, he was indeed the best person to solve the wolf tribe's crisis right now. She bit her lip, her eyes filled with suspicion. Are you sure you can handle your father? Seeing her waver, Feng Su's smile became even more enchanting. Little fish, is that a yes? He deliberately pulled open the collar of his fiery red feather robe, revealing his snow-white, delicate collarbone. How about we consummate right now? The two words hadn't even left his mouth before an angry voice rang out. In your dreams! Zhuan Ming grabbed him and pulled him away. Don't let him fool you. This phoenix tries to seduce every female he sees. Cousin, you wound me! Feng Su nimbly twisted away, hiding behind Su Yue. His finger drew circles on her butt, but his voice was one of pitiful complaint. I'm genuinely sincere about the little fish. Look, I even gave her my destiny spiritual scale. Yi Lin, who happened to be standing right behind and saw everything, his face instantly turned cold. Ice crystals shot out without mercy. You don't want your claw anymore? I'll chop it off for you. Feng Su seemed to have anticipated it. A wave of phoenix true fire instantly melted the approaching ice crystals. Seeing this, Mo Lin's snake tail silently wrapped around Feng Su's feet and suddenly yanked him to the ground. Feng Su lost his footing and stumbled, conveniently landing on one knee in front of Su Yue. When he looked up, a captivating smile was plastered on his face. Little fish, look! I'm even kneeling. Doesn't that prove my sincerity? Su Yue's face was one of utter resignation. This flamboyant man truly flirted at every possible moment. Bai Qi's brow twitched. He felt like he had suddenly met his match, a man who was just as flirtatious and shameless and who could pull off sweet talk even better. While he usually acted the same way, Feng Su was simply on another level of shamelessness. Just as the beast husbands were racking their brains on how to stop him, Su Yu suddenly spoke. Fine, you go back to the Phoenix clan and settle this matter first. If you succeed, I'll consider letting you be the 7th candidate for a beast husband. Candidate? Feng Su pouted pitifully. I have a probation period. Bai Qi stepped forward slowly, smiling gently. If young Master Feng is unwilling, willing. Why wouldn't I be willing? Feng Su sprang up with a sudden flip, his fiery red feather robe shimmering in the moonlight. Just wait. I'm going back to stage my hunger strike now. He made to transform into a phoenix and fly off, but suddenly turned back, quickly dropping a kiss on Suyu's forehead. I'm marking my territory. You're not going anywhere. You're asking for death. The 6 beast husbands instantly erupted. Feng Su laughed loudly, transforming into a fire phoenix and soaring into the sky. Fiery red feathers rained down like confetti. He yelled as he flew, Father-in-law, my brothers, just wait for my good news. His voice faded into the distance and soon disappeared into the night sky. Su Yue touched her kissed forehead, which felt a little hot. She looked at the men, one after another, their faces as dark as the bottom of a pot. Her heart sank. Sure enough, the next second. Yar, you shouldn't have let him kiss you. Yi Lin's brows were tightly knit, his silver eyes showing displeasure. Mo Lin's face was even colder. That Feng Su doesn't look like a good person. He certainly doesn't. Qingju quietly agreed, a hint of coldness flashing in his emerald eyes. Bai Qi's warmth was strained, but his eyes showed no smile. Young Master Feng's identity is special. If he's serious about pursuing you, he won't give up easily. But if you don't like him, we won't let him succeed. Xuanming snorted. If that flamboyant bastard dares to come back, I'll beat him until he spits out his teeth. Xuanming's dark golden eyes flickered, lost in thought. Su Yue looked at the beast husbands, one by one, jealous for her attention, and her brow twitched. She was about to open her mouth to explain when the system's voice suddenly rang in her mind. Host, Feng Su's favorability has inexplicably reached 70. Do you want to bind him as the 7th beast husband? Su Yue was completely bewildered. What the heck? That fast? I don't think I even did anything. The system gave a dark chuckle. Feng Su simply loves the way the host acts indifferent to him. The colder you are, the more obsessed he becomes. Su Yue was speechless. What kind of bizarre kink is that? According to the dog system, Feng Su seemed to be a masochist. The less she paid attention to him, the more he'd chase after her. In that case, couldn't she just reverse her approach? Being cold to the flamboyant man might make the conquest task easy to complete. Fine, I'll bind him. She returned to reality, seeing the beast husband still staring at her, waiting for an explanation. She cleared her throat and was about to speak when she suddenly remembered the promise she made to Xuanming. To consummate their relationship tonight, her head started to ache again. If she didn't get rid of these jealous men, she wouldn't be able to spend time with Xuanming tonight. She quickly came up with an idea and spoke earnestly. I'm a little hungry. Yi Lin, Mo Lin, Qingju, and Xuan Yuanming, the four of you go hunt for some game and ingredients. Get a lot. She deliberately didn't call Xuanming, of course, for the big event later. The beast husbands all paused, immediately sensing the problem. Yi Lin looked at Xuanming with confusion. What about him? Xuanming looked back at Ye Lin, baring his white fangs. Of course, I'm staying with my little moon. Mo Lin gave him a cold, sidelong glance. Don't wear her out. You're already very tired today. Bai Qi chuckled softly. In that case, I'll return to Beast King City first and send some supplies tomorrow. He gently took Su Yue's hand, his beautiful fox eyes full of reluctance and tenderness. If this brute doesn't know when to stop, just kick him. Don't be polite. Su Yue burst into laughter. Good, I know. Xuanming's face instantly darkened. Flirtatious fox, are you asking for a beating? Bai Qi smiled at Xuanming. Yor has been tired all night. As her beast husband, you should be considerate. He turned and walked away, completely ignoring the fuming Xuanming. Su Yue found it amusing. I'm going to the lake to take a bath. She stretched and walked toward the lake. Xuanming's eyes lit up. He immediately followed. Little Moon, I'm coming! The woman was in the middle of a passionate encounter with her beast husband, but the sounds and movements were too loud, attracting the attention of the wolf pups. The wolf pups were standing at the edge of the lake, heads tilted in unison, eyes blinking, wondering what was happening. Xuanming nearly laughed in anger. You little bastards, go play somewhere else. These pups were truly Yi Lin's offspring, just as prone to peeking as their father. Su Yue smiled and poked his chest. How old are they? They don't understand anything. You're right. Ignore them, Yor. Let's continue. With a wicked smile at Su Yue, he dove headfirst into the fragrant bathwater, omitting billions of words in Su Yue's screams and exclamations. The next day, as dawn broke, Xuanming carried the unconscious Su Yue back to the hut. He gently placed her on the straw mat, covering her body and stomach with a beast skin rug. He softly touched her face, a tender smile on his lips. Only then did he reluctantly leave the hut to prepare a loving breakfast. Yi Lin and Mo Lin returned to the tribe, carrying over a dozen bundles of cut rice stalks. Their eyes simultaneously swept toward the hut, just as Xuanming walked out, an air of self-satisfaction on his face. They went into the hut and saw Su Yue sleeping soundly, a look of contentment on her face. Yi Lin and Mo Lin exchanged glances, both seeing the displeasure in the other's eyes. It seemed those two had a very enjoyable night. When they thought about how they had slaved away, cutting rice stalks all night, they grew even more annoyed. They desperately wanted to give Xuanming a good beating. They thought it, and they did it. Xuanming was in an excellent mood, about to prepare food for Su Yue, when he sensed two hostile gazes. He looked up and was startled. Why did those two look like they wanted to eat him? He hadn't provoked them last night. You're back! Did you finish cutting all the rice stalks? We did, Yi Lin said coldly, his eyes fixed on him without blinking. It looks like you had a very good time last night. A triumphant smile spread across Xuanming's face. Not bad. Too bad Little Moon's stamina isn't good, or I could have gone on longer. The moment the words left his mouth, Yi Lin's fist slammed into the side of his face. Xuanming was caught completely off guard, staggering backward and crashing into the pile of rice stalks behind him. Awoo! Xuanming cried out in pain, clutching his rapidly swelling cheek and glaring at Ye Lin. What the hell is wrong with you? Ye Lin flexed his wrist. Nothing. I just thought you looked particularly deserving of a punch today. You certainly do deserve a beating, Mo Lin added coldly. Yor was exhausted last night. I told you to stop when you should, yet you fought until dawn. Were you trying to tire her to death? Even the dullest Xuanming realized that these two were green with naked jealousy and deliberately looking for trouble. He stood up, grimacing, his eyes burning with fighting spirit. You're jealous that I got to sleep with Little Moon last night? It'll be your turn in a few days anyway. Before he could finish, Mo Lin's snaketail swept out, heavily slamming him back into the pile of rice stalks. Golden rice husks flew everywhere, tracing dazzling arcs in the morning light. No need to drag me into this! Xuanming spat out rice husks. His nether dark fire flared up in his palm, You're asking for death, both of you. Yi Lin's silver eyes flashed with a dangerous light and his fists cracked. Good, time to stretch my muscles. The three instantly became entangled in a brawl. Flames clashed with ice crystals and the scene quickly spiraled out of control, startling the tribesmen who poked their heads out. Why are they fighting so early in the morning? Qingju returned, carrying a huge pile of bundled rice stalks on his back. His emerald eyes swept over the fight. Although he didn't fully understand what happened, he had a pretty good guess. That bastard Xuanming probably hadn't held back and played until dawn. He deserved the beating he was getting now. He certainly deserves a beating. Qingju suddenly threw the rice stalks onto the ground and rushed into the fray. Xuanming's massive dragon body swooped down from the clouds, bundles of rice stalks tied to his back. Seeing Qingju join the melee, he chuckled. 3 against 1! Interesting. Xuanming's hair was clipped by Qingju's wind blade, making him jump up and down in anger. Dead bamboo! Why are you joining in the fun? My hands are itchy. Qingju expressionlessly threw out 3 more wind blades. The old priest squatted in front of a hut, gnawing on something, watching with great interest. To be young, Suyue was woken up by the noise. Rubbing her lower back, she slowly walked out of the hut, squinting her eyes toward the crooked-necked tree not far away. Xuanming was trussed up like a zongzai by vines, hanging upside down from a branch, swaying and cursing. Quote, "You bastards have no martial ethics. Have the guts to fight one-on-one. What kind of skill is 3 against 1? Yi Lin stood underneath the tree, radiating cold energy. Weren't you very capable last night, brute? Mo Lin's snaketail cracked like a whip against Xuanming's butt. Fighting until dawn! Awoo! Xuanming winced in pain and turned his head to glare at Qingju. Dead bamboo, why do you keep trimming my hair? Qingju spoke flatly, helping you tidy up. Xuanming transformed into human form and landed, his dark golden eyes, seeing Suyue emerge, instantly softened. You're as awake. Suyue's mouth twitched. She walked over slowly and looked up at the dangling Xuanming, a flicker of sympathy in her eyes. Xuanming immediately put on a pitiful face. Little moon, they're bullying me. Yi Lin sneered. Who was it that wore your out until dawn? Mo Lin added, and made her back ache. Qingju's windblade clipped another strand of Xuanming's hair. Doesn't learn his lesson. Xuanming stood by, watching the show. Serves him right. Xuanming's expression turned one of utter resignation. Suyue sighed helplessly. Don't bully him. Xuanming is quite good. Anyway, he was very happy last night. The moment the words left her mouth, Xuanming's eyes instantly brightened. He smugly bared his teeth at the men below the tree. Hear that? My little moon said I'm quite good. Yi Lin's silver eyes narrowed slightly. Looks like you're not hanging high enough. Mo Lin expressionlessly wrapped the vines around him 3 more times. Qingju's fingertips glowed with cold wind blades. Xuanming leaned against the tree, his dark golden eyes full of schadenfreude. Wait, you? Before Xuanming could finish, he was abruptly yanked half a meter higher, dangling from the treetop like a piece of dried meat. The little wolf pups in the tribe gathered around curiously. Some even jumped up, pawing at his dangling hair. Suyue didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She walked over and gently lowered him. All right, stop fooling around. Are the rice stalks all collected? The beast husbands all nodded heavily, looking expectant, but instead of praise, Suyue said, quote, since they're collected, spread them out on the ground to dry. Yi Lin and the others were a little disappointed at the lack of praise, but they obediently went to spread out the rice. Xuanming glanced at the ground covered in rice, his brow furrowing. Little moon, my nether dark fire can dry the rice stalks. There's no need to sun-dry them. As he spoke, a wisp of nether dark fire flared in his palm. Suyue smiled and explained, I know your fire can dry them, but sun-dried rice tastes better. It has the taste of sunshine. She pointed at the sun. Look, such good sunlight. It would be a waste not to use it. Xuanming looked up. The sun was indeed blazing hot. He didn't understand all this. But if his little moon said sun-drying was better, then sun-dry it was. Yi Lin suddenly asked, how long will these rice stalks take to dry? About 2 or 3 days, depending on the weather, Suyue replied. Qingju pondered. So, if the weather is bad, the rice won't dry. Theoretically, yes, Suyue nodded. That's why farmers depend on the weather. Good weather means a good harvest. Bad weather might mean no harvest at all. Mo Lin suddenly said, can we control the weather? Everyone was silent. Apparently not. At least, they couldn't do it right now. Xuanming blurted out, Who says you can't control the weather? I can just summon a downpour. Suyue's mouth twitched, and she rolled her eyes. A downpour? Are you trying to destroy the entire harvest? If the rice mildews, I'll punish you by making you clean every single grain. Chuan Yuanming wasn't angry at all. Instead, he flashed a mischievous smile, his dark, golden eyes fixed on her. Punish me? My little fish, would you bear to make me work so hard? Don't forget, it's my turn tonight. She blushed under his intense gaze and glared at him playfully. Stop it. If you do something bad, why would I feel sorry for you? They say a male who hasn't been beaten for a day will cause trouble. I think you're itching for one. Chuan Yuanming chuckled, about to speak, when a commotion suddenly erupted in the distance. Bai Qi is back! Bai Qi emerged from the dense forest, followed by over a dozen giant horned beasts laden with supplies. The most eye-catching item was a strange-looking wooden frame. Bai Qi walked over, smiling. The hempen seeds you asked for, and this. He patted the wooden frame, his gentle voice tinged with pride. The best loom in Beast King City. I personally modified it. Suyue's eyes lit up. She couldn't help but touch the loom's smooth crossbar. You even got this? Of course. Bai Qi's smile was full of doting affection. How could I not try my best to get what Yor wants? Even if you wanted the moon in the sky, I'd find a way to pluck it for you. Xuan Ming suddenly dashed in front of the loom, his wild, handsome face full of disdain. What's this broken frame good for? Better to bring more game. Before Bai Qi could speak, Suyue slapped Xuan Ming on the back of his head. Idiot! This is a loom. With this, we can weave hemp into cloth. Everyone won't have to wear beast fur anymore. Xuan Ming rubbed his head, grumbling. Beast fur is great. It's warm and durable. Yilin looked at him coolly. Idiot. Although beast fur is warm, it's stuffy in hot weather. Cloth is much cooler to wear. Hemp can also be made into sacks and ropes. It has many uses. Xingzhi was about to send a wind blade over, but Xuan Ming, knowing what he was up to, immediately let a wisp of nether-dark fire flare up in his palm, signaling, If you dare to clip my hair again, I'll never be done with you. X. Wan Yuanming took advantage of the distraction to tightly embrace Suyue. It's my turn tonight. You promised I could do whatever I wanted. The moment those words left his mouth, the scene fell silent. Everyone turned to stare at Xuan Yuanming in fury, their eyes practically spitting fire. Xuan Yuanming, however, was completely unfazed. His dark golden eyes stared straight at Suyue, repeating his declaration and deliberately emphasizing the phrase, do whatever I wanted. Suyue's face instantly turned crimson. She cursed Xuan Yuanming internally. He should have just kept that to himself. Why say it out loud in front of everyone and emphasize it too? Really, soon, night fell. In the dead of night, Xuan Yuanming transformed into his dragon form and carried Suyue to the platform at the highest point of the canyon. Faint, cold snorts could be heard in the air, but he ignored them, quickly bringing her to the platform. I've waited a long time for this day. Xuan Yuanming's finger brushed her cheek, his voice filled with suppressed desire. Suyue's heart raced, her cheeks burning under his passionate gaze. You're pressing down on me. Xuan Yuanming slightly relaxed his hold, his nose gently brushing against her collarbone. The moonlight is beautiful tonight, but in my eyes, you are more beautiful than the moon. The bright moonlight scattered like water, illuminating their two vague figures. He whispered in her ear. Call my name. Suyue's eyes were already misty. She spoke tremulously. Xuan Yuanming. He didn't agree. He bent down and bit her playfully as a punishment. What did you call me when you were little? A memory flashed back to her childhood. She was holding the injured little golden snake, gently coaxing him. Aming, be good. It doesn't hurt, Aming. That one call of Aming seemed to flip a switch. Xuan Yuanming completely lost control. The long night stretched on. In the distance, Yilin stood on a treetop, his red eyes gleaming coldly in the darkness. Hearing Yuer's screams, he didn't watch any further. He turned and vanished into the shadows, a trace of gloom in his eyes. In the following days, the tribe busied itself with building a new home. Bai Qi did not return to Beast King City, but chose to stay. If he returned, how could he spend time with Yuer? He simply instructed his subordinates to send the Beast King City affairs here for him to handle, which made Suyue feel exasperated, though she didn't say anything. News of Bai Qi working in the wolf tribe quickly spread back to Beast King City, causing an uproar. Suyue was squatting by the planned foundation, her finger tracing the building blueprint Baichi had drawn. The city wall must be at least 3 meters thick and 10 meters high. Baichi's emerald eyes suddenly narrowed. He looked up, alerted, toward the sky. Someone is coming. A fiery red wing cut through the mist in the distance. Feng Su's flamboyant voice drifted from afar. "Little fish, this young master is here to join you." The fiery red figure landed, his feather robe billowing. Behind, Feng Su followed over a dozen giant horned beasts laden with supplies. The most jarring sight was Chu Yuyu, looking utterly pathetic, trailing at the very end of the procession. Su Yue was completely bewildered. Why would Feng Su bring Chu Yuyu, that disaster, here? The woman never imagined that the disgusting white lotus she had finally gotten rid of would be brought back home by her seventh beast husband. And Chu Yuyu was using her pitiful eyes to sneak glances at her other 6 beast husbands. The sight of the little white flower made Su Yue feel sick. Su Yue walked over, half smiling, half furious. "Feng Su, don't you have an explanation for this woman? Are you going back on your word about being my 7th beast husband? As if your flirtatious nature hasn't changed." "Little fish, you wound me." Feng Su might have been unreliable in the past, but he was absolutely serious about her this time. His expression was extremely earnest. He glanced back at Chu Yuyu. "As for her, I simply picked her up on the road. She claimed she was homeless and begged me to take her in. I thought the little fish here might need a maid, so I brought her. This female can serve as Yura's foot-washing servant to avoid her causing trouble." Chu Yuyu's face instantly went paper white. Her nails dug deeply into her palm. She was a transmigrator with a rogue system. This flamboyant phoenix actually wanted her to be Su Yue's foot-washing servant. The hatred in her heart was immense, but she dared not show it, forcing down the humiliation. With tears welling in her eyes, she looked at Feng Su. Feng Su didn't even spare her a glance. He just smiled at Su Yue. "Little fish, if you don't want her, I'll just toss her to one of the beastmen to be his mate." Before Su Yue could speak, a gentle yet icy voice cut in. Quote, "Young Master Feng is generous, daring to send even this kind of trash to your side." Bai Qi had walked over without anyone noticing. His eyes were cold as he looked at Chu Yuyu, and the stare made her involuntarily shiver, her heart growing increasingly terrified. "Third Prince," Chu Yuyu's voice trembled. She instinctively wanted to flee, but Bai Qi's look pinned her to the spot. "Oh, surprised to see me?" Bai Qi's lips curled into a dangerous arc. "You have quite the nerve, daring to appear before me again." Chu Yuyu's face was chalk white. Knowing Bai Qi hated her to the core, she suddenly dropped to her knees, tears instantly flowing. "Third Prince, please believe me. The previous Crown Prince forced me to harm your father. If I didn't obey, I'd be thrown to the savage beasts." Inside her mind, Chu Yuyu was frantically screaming. "Quick, quick, quick! I don't want to die. Hurry up and exchange the Charmer's Halo for me. If I don't have enough points, put it on credit." The rogue system immediately responded. Deducting host 500 points on credit, successfully exchanged primary Charmer's Halo, duration 3 days. Almost simultaneously, a hazy pink glow suddenly appeared around Chu Yuyu. This pink light was invisible to others, but had a fatal attraction for men. The pink glow in the mist, like an invisible spiderweb, silently enveloped the entire wolf tribe. Su Yue suddenly felt something strange about the atmosphere around her. Just as she was about to ask, the system's urgent alarm blared in her mind. "Warning! Chu Yuyu has activated the Charmer's Halo. It is affecting the surrounding males." She whipped her head around and saw that Ye Lin and the others' expressions had all become very strange. Even Bai Qi's coldness was slowly receding. Chu Yuyu took in the surrounding changes, knowing the Charmer's Halo was working. She was secretly thrilled. She continued her pitiful plea. "Third Prince, I was truly forced. Please believe me. I know I'm guilty, and even death wouldn't atone for it. As long as the Third Prince can forgive me and quell his hatred, I'll do anything, even be his ox or his horse." Sure enough, the surrounding men began to chime in. "Third Prince, since Chu Yuyu has said this, why not give her a chance to reform? Even if you kill her, the old Beast King won't come back to life." "That's right. Females are so precious. It would be a pity to kill her. Let her stay and give birth to cubs. It can be considered atonement." Quote, "Bai Qi, just give her a chance. At worst, keep her locked up so she can't run around." Chu Yu listened to the discussions, feeling secretly smug. The effect of the charmer's halo was truly extraordinary. Baichi's face, however, grew colder and colder. He looked at Chu Yuyu's pathetic appearance with a wave of disgust. He slowly squatted down, his voice chillingly gentle. Chu, Yuyu, do you think that with these people pleading for you, I'll let you go? Baichi's voice grew even colder. My father's life, the harm Yuer has suffered, and the beastmen who died in the wolf tribe. Can these things be compensated for with a single phrase like being an ox or a horse? Fengsu suddenly regretted bringing Chu Yuyu. He had no idea this female had done so many terrible things in secret. He felt completely tricked by her and was furious. Under Baichi's intense scrutiny, Chu Yuyu finally felt fear. The charmer's halo seemed useless against Baichi. Third prince. She stammered, wanting to beg for mercy, but Baichi flung her away. Baichi stood up, coldly looking down at her. Yuyu, I will spare your life for now, but from this day forward, you are the wolf tribe's slave. Anyone can drive you, bully you, or trample you. He slowly scanned the beastmen present. Bind her ankles with beast tendons, but make sure she can still move. Do not give her any food or daily necessities. Make her figure it out herself. She will help build the city wall or dig during the day. At night, you can all do whatever you want with her. There is no need for mercy. His voice wasn't loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. Chu Yuyu's face instantly turned ashen. Her eyes filled with despair and terror. She finally realized that this time, she was truly finished. Suyue looked at the limp Chu Yuyu on the ground, feeling little pity. She knew this woman's true nature. If she let her go today, there would surely be endless trouble in the future. But Baichi had already given his word, and she couldn't bring up killing her again. Internally, she couldn't help but ask the system, can you find a way to take out Chu Yuyu's rogue system? The system was silent for a moment before speaking slowly. Host, Chu Yuyu is the original female lead. She has the protagonist's halo and protection from the heavenly way. However, this system can attempt to invade her system, but it will consume a large amount of energy. Then do it, Suyue said, without hesitation. Just then, Fengsu came over, laughing delightedly. Little fish, don't worry. The old man has agreed not to touch the wolf tribe. So, the wolf tribe is safe. Suyue narrowed her eyes slightly. Are you sure? As Fengsu was about to reply, Chu Yuyu suddenly let out a sharp, ear-splitting scream, clutching her head and rolling on the ground. Everyone was startled by the sudden change, not knowing why she suddenly went into a mad, screaming fit. Nobody knew that Chu Yu's rogue system was screaming inside her body. Warning! System infected with virus! Invasion alert! Chu Yuyu felt her head splitting, as if countless needles were stabbing her brain. She screamed hysterically, holding her head tightly, rolling non-stop on the ground. Suyue watched the rolling Chu Yuyu coldly, her heart calm. She guessed the system had made its move. Sure enough, the system's excited voice suddenly rang in Suyue's mind. Host, I found a loophole. Chu Yuyu exchanged the charmer's halo on credit. Now her system is heavily in debt, making it most vulnerable. However, that rogue system is still a product of the heavenly way, so completely destroying it won't be easy. Suyu pressed. Then can you at least paralyze it so it can no longer help Chuyu? The system was silent for a moment, then gave an affirmative reply. Yes, but I will need a large amount of energy. How do I get the energy? The system replied as a matter of course. By the host engaging in more intimate interactions with your beast husbands. Things like holding hands, hugging, kissing, or more in-depth communication all generate a large amount of energy. So Yue's face darkened. This system truly never strayed from its core business. However, since her beast husbands already took turns nightly, and she was never free anyway, she might as well get the energy while she was at it. Host, you should interact deeply with Yilin the most. His energy is the strongest as he is the first beast husband. Suyu's mouth twitched. She subtly glanced at the nearby Yilin. Tonight seemed to be Yilin's turn. She didn't know if it was a coincidence or if the dog system had planned it. As she was sneakily looking at Yilin, his red eyes narrowed. He strode forward. What are you looking at? Yilin wrapped his arm around her waist. Was last night's brute not enough for you? Her face instantly turned crimson. How does this man know everything? Was he secretly peeking last night too? Yilin's fingers rubbed her slender waist. He leaned into her ear and whispered, "Tonight is my turn. As for Fengsu, get lost." He had wanted to spend time with her the moment he returned. How could he possibly wait? At the very least, they should restart the rotation or let him wait a while longer. No one knew how he had managed to get through the nights all these days. Every minute and every second was torture. The feeling was unbearable. Ahem, ahem. Baichi suddenly coughed twice. His tiger tail subtly nudged Yilin's arm away, then hooked Suyue to his side. Yura's, I want a hug too. Qingju's emerald eyes scanned their bodies pressed together. He said coldly, dead fox, starting to flirt in broad daylight. Xuanming squeezed directly into the middle, using his butt to push Baichi aside. He wrapped his arms around Suyue and pointed at Chu Yuyu, shouting, Yura, look, he's throwing a screaming fit. I don't know if it's contagious. Maybe we should just tie her up. Mo Lin was more direct, speaking coldly. Keeping this menace is just trouble. Better to just kill her and be done with it. Xuan Yuanming quickly snatched Suyue with his tail and pulled her into his embrace. I agree. Killing her is better. Keeping her is a disaster. Chu Yuyu suddenly stopped screaming. Enduring the splitting pain in her head, she cried a river of tears, desperately kowtowing and begging. No! Please don't kill me! Baichi smiled, gentle as a warm jade. Killing him is easy, but that's too merciful. Let her remain a slave. Sometimes, being alive is worse than death, isn't it? Baichi's icy gaze swept over Chu Yuyu. He coldly instructed Jingyu. Lock her ankles and carve the slave mark on her face. A slave must look like a slave. Take her to dig dirt. She is not allowed to stop until dark. Jingyu immediately stepped forward and roughly pulled up the still trembling Chu Yuyu. Chu Yuyu struggled in horror. No, please stop. Shut up. Jingyu slapped her across the face. Chu Yuyu's cheek instantly swelled, and blood seeped from the corner of her mouth. She instantly quieted down, daring no longer to struggle or beg for mercy. Suyue watched coldly as Chu Yuyu was dragged away. She mentally asked the system, how is it? Is her rogue system paralyzed? La la la, invasion successful. Although I couldn't completely destroy it, that rogue system will be in hibernation for at least 3 months. Suyue breathed a sigh of relief. That was at least 3 months of peace. She turned her head to look at Feng Su, who was directing the movement of supplies. The flamboyant phoenix noticed her gaze and immediately threw her a flirtatious look. Are you stunned by my handsomeness? Suyue was speechless. This show-off is truly narcissistic. Feng Su didn't mind at all, smiling flirtatiously. Little fish, guess what good things I brought you? He pointed to the dozen giant horned beasts loaded behind him. Xuanming suddenly darted over and ripped open the beast skin sack on the first one. Whoosh! Crystalline, translucent salt poured out, refracting light in the morning sun. Qingju's emerald eyes widened slightly. He touched some with his finger and put it in his mouth. The purity is very high. Feng Su proudly fanned his feather fan. This is our Phoenix Clan's specially supplied snow crystal salt. It's enough for the wolf tribe for 3 years. Yi Lin and the others were very surprised. They hadn't expected this guy to be so earnest. Little fish, Feng Su suddenly leaned close to Suyue's ear. Is this enough sincerity? Xuan Yuanming laughed coldly and kicked him. In your dreams! Ouch, cousin! Feng Su nimbly leaped away, his fiery red feather robe flashing, revealing a large expanse of his chest. You already have a recognized status. Can't your cousin at least line up? Baichi's fox eyes narrowed slightly, his smile gentle as water. Young Master Feng, according to the wolf tribe's rules, newcomers sleep at the very edge of the camp. His tiger tail subtly hooked out, trying to trip Feng Su. Feng Su seemed to have eyes in the back of his head. He spun mid-air and landed steadily, even seizing the chance to fondle Baichi's tiger tail. He laughed enchantingly. Oh my, so smooth! Baichi's face subtly tightened. He instantly retracted his tail, a cold glint in his eyes. This Feng Su is indeed shamelessly tricky. Suyue couldn't help but want to laugh, seeing Feng Su easily foil the old fox's trick and even flirt back. The old fox has finally met his match. Things are gonna get much livelier now. She cleared her throat. Feng Su, since you've delivered on your promise and brought so many precious gifts, I will also keep my word. From now on, you are my 7th beast husband. Hearing this, Feng Su's peach blossom eyes instantly lit up dazzlingly. His feathers seemed to puff up. Little fish, you are too wonderful! He excitedly reached to hug Suyue, but Yi Lin and the others coldly batted his arms away. Yi Lin's eyes were full of displeasure. Feng Su, mind your status. Feng Su rolled his eyes, then smiled captivatingly again. Oh, we're all family. Why be so formal? He gracefully flicked his feather fan and turned to face the busy beastmen. He announced loudly, "From this day forward, I, Feng Su, am a part of the wolf tribe and Su Yue's 7th beast husband. Please take care of me." His voice had incredible penetrating power and instantly spread throughout the entire wolf tribe. The beastmen and females stopped what they were doing and looked over curiously. When they saw Feng Su's ridiculously gorgeous face, they couldn't help but gasp in admiration. "Ah, is that the young master of the Phoenix clan? He's so handsome." Quote, "Zhu Yue has such good fortune. Her beast husbands are all more handsome than the last. I'm so envious. Tell me about it. She already has 7 beast husbands. She must be exhausted every night." Exhausted? She was having the time of her life. The day before yesterday, with Xuan Ming by the lake, and last night with Xuan Yuanming on the high platform in the canyon. Her screams were so loud that even a female like me couldn't handle it and had to hide far away. Those whispered discussions naturally couldn't escape the ears of Su Yue and her beast husbands. Su Yue's face was beet red. She couldn't help but glare at Xuan Ming and Xuan Yuanming. It's all the fault of those 2 bastards, having to seek thrills by the lake and on the high platform in the canyon, making the whole tribe aware. Xuan Ming and Xuan Yuanming were confused by the glare, but upon hearing the whispers, they immediately understood. Xuan Ming's ears turned slightly red. He glared at the gossiping females. "Shut up! Who is spreading rumors? I'll rip their mouths out!" He was quite coarse and had a violent temper. When he got angry, he really would hit people. Since the females in the tribe were generally afraid of him, they immediately shut up the moment he spoke. Xuan Yuanming, however, hooked his arm around Su Yue's waist. His eyes were full of playful mockery. "They're not wrong. You did scream very loudly last night, didn't you?" Su Yu's face was flushed crimson. She glared at him and pretended not to hear. How dare this jerk bring up why she screamed so loudly last night? It was all his fault. Baishi and the others all shot cold glares at Xuan Yuanming. Xuan Yuanming acted as if he didn't feel it, still smiling wantonly. Feng Su stood beside them, watching the interaction. A glint of mischief flashed in his peach blossom eyes. "So, little fish is that passionate. Then tonight is my turn." Yilin's eyes narrowed into slits of cold ice, staring intently at him. "Young Master Feng, are you trying to jump the line?" Feng Su smiled captivatingly. "If it's your turn, that's fine. How about all 3 of us together?" The Phoenix Beast husband, seeking stimulation, actually leaned into her ear and suggested having a threesome tonight. Before he could finish, he was instantly attacked by all 6 other beast husbands simultaneously. Yilin's ice crystals, Xuan Yuanming's dragon tail, Mo Lin's snake tail, Bai Qi's tiger tail, Qingju's wind blades, and Xuan Ming's nether dark fire all blasted toward Feng Su. Feng Su hadn't expected his casual joke to provoke such anger. His figure flashed, turning into a streak of fire to dodge the collective attack. As he fled, he didn't forget to tease them. Oh my, you really can't take a joke." Su Yue's eye twitched as she watched Feng Su's shamelessly evasive maneuvers. "This man truly lives up to his reputation as a flirtatious show-off." She cleared her throat. "Stop fighting, all of you. Since we are all family now and will be living together, I hope you can all get along." Hearing this, the beast husbands ceased their attack, but their gazes toward Feng Su remained hostile. Feng Su, however, acted as if nothing had happened, gracefully flicking his feather fan. All right, I was just kidding. Since the little fish has spoken, I, the new 7th beast husband, will naturally obey." As he spoke, he winked at Su Yue. Su Yue completely ignored his wink and continued kneading the clay in her hands to make a pot. Suddenly, Feng Su walked directly in front of her. Squatting down to mimic her actions, Su Yue raised an eyebrow, teasing him. "Young Master Feng, are you switching careers to become a potter?" Feng Su looked up, his peach blossom eyes blazing with a smile. "Making a token of betrothal for my little moon." He held up the uniquely ugly clay pot. Mud was still leaking from the bottom. Xuan Ming suddenly popped up from behind and sneered. "Just this piece of junk? My little moon can make something better just by stepping on the mud." "What do you know?" Feng Su's finger suddenly shot out a cluster of Phoenix True Fire. The crooked clay pot instantly glowed red. "Anything this young master personally fires, no matter how ugly, is a limited edition," Yilin said coldly from the side. "Your doesn't lack containers." Molin bluntly added. Wasting time. Better to go do some work. Exactly! Xuan Yuanming's dragon tail hooked Suyue to his side. I will personally get Yura whatever she needs. You don't need to bother. Cousin is really annoying! Fengsu ungracefully rolled his eyes. Just as he was about to retort, a dragon roar suddenly echoed from the sky in the distance. Look! Someone's in the sky! The beastman who heard the sound cried out in surprise. Everyone looked up and saw an azure bamboo dragon circling down. It landed and transformed into a kind-looking green-haired old man. The visitor was none other than the Dragon Clan's third elder, Xuan Yuan. Third uncle. Xuan Yuanming's eyes narrowed when he saw the person. What did the old man send you for? Xuan Yuan went straight to the point. Young master, the clan leader, ordered you to return to the Dragon Clan immediately. He says there is an important matter to discuss. As he spoke, he intentionally or unintentionally glanced at Suyue beside them, a hint of shadow flashing in the depths of his eyes. Xuan Yuanming and the others were quick-witted and immediately sensed something was wrong. His eyes turned cold. Hey, is the old man sending you because he heard the two elder phoenix consorts inexplicably submitted to Yor and thinks Yor is strange? Is he trying to trick me into going back? Third uncle, you go tell the old man I won't be returning to the Dragon Clan for now. I'm staying here to accompany Yor. Xuan Yuan looked troubled. Young master, the clan leader specifically instructed. Enough! Xuan Yuanming interrupted him impatiently. Suyue sensed the tense atmosphere and gently tugged on Xuan Yuanming's sleeve. Why don't you go back just this once? You are. A trace of hurt flashed in Xuan Yuanming's dark golden eyes. Are you chasing me away? She sighed helplessly. I'm worried about your father. Worried about what? Xuan Yuanming pulled her tightly into his arms. I know exactly what the old man is thinking. If he dares to touch you, I'll tear down the Dragon Clan's ancestral land. Fengsu watched with great interest from the side. He suddenly interjected. Cousin is so fierce. How about I go to the Dragon Clan with the little fish? I guarantee my uncle won't dare touch a single hair on her head. Get lost! Xuan Yuanming and the other beast husbands roared simultaneously. Fengsu pouted and continued kneading his crooked clay pot. Seeing this, Xuan Yuan knew he wouldn't be able to take the young master back today. He sighed. Since that's the case, this old man will take his leave. Before leaving, he looked deeply at Suyue. Young lady, the clan leader asked me to pass on a message. Some things can be played with for a while, but not forever. Suyue's heart skipped a beat. Did the Dragon Clan leader discover the secret that she wasn't the original host? Before she could think further, Xuan Yuan transformed back into the azure bamboo dragon, soared into the sky, and disappeared into the clouds. Xuan Yuanming looked thoughtfully in the direction Xuan Yuan disappeared, a hint of complexity in his eyes. He then chuckled softly. These old men love to be mysterious. What secrets could Yor possibly be keeping from me? Suyue happened to catch that last sentence and felt a wave of nervousness. The fact that she wasn't the original host, the one Xuan Yuanming loved, couldn't be hidden forever. If this deeply devoted man discovered the truth, she didn't know what the consequences would be. Forget it. I won't worry about it. If I'm discovered, I'll just come clean. At worst, we'll go down fighting. She wasn't some silly girl who'd throw away her life for love. Men come and go. The next one will be more obedient. With these thoughts, her mood brightened. She turned and saw Fengsu still kneading his uniquely ugly clay pot and couldn't help but burst out laughing. Young Master Feng? Is that a new type of chamber pot you're sculpting? Pfft. The surrounding beast husbands couldn't help but laugh out loud. Fengsu wasn't angry. Instead, he smiled playfully. This is the token of betrothal I personally made for the little fish, the only one in the world. As he spoke, a cluster of phoenix true fire shot out from his finger, turning the pot red hot. He handed it to Suyue. Little moon, please accept it. Suyue looked at the uniquely ugly pot, her mouth twitching. Just as she was about to refuse, the system's voice suddenly rang in her mind. Ding! Hidden task triggered. Accept Fengsu's token of betrothal and give a gift in return. Suyue was speechless. What kind of bizarre task is this? She figured the system was just too lazy and was forcing her to complete the conquest task. The system seemed to sense her dissatisfaction and reminded her in her mind. Completing the task will earn you Fengsu's sincerity and potentially increase his favorability. Sincerity? Favorability? Suyue blinked. Although the flamboyant Fengsu seemed unreliable, his strength was undeniable, and he was the young master of the Upper Jade Phoenix clan. Since he was now her 7th beast husband, accepting his gift and returning one was a normal courtesy. Xuanming leaned in and poked the pot. This piece of junk is a token of betrothal? The pot instantly cracked at his touch, ready to shatter. Feng Su calmly used the Phoenix True Fire to fuse the cracks. Anything this young master personally makes is a treasure, no matter how ugly. Then, with a flourish, he magically pulled a fiery red feather from his robe and stuck it into the pot's opening. See? Now it's perfect! Fine, since you personally made it, I'll accept it. Su Yue smiled faintly, taking the crooked pot from Feng Su. It wasn't hot to the touch, but pleasantly warm. Seeing her accept it, Feng Su's smile intensified. Little Moon, courtesy dictates an exchange. Shouldn't you give me something in return? Su Yue considered this, then took a dagger from her system inventory. Here, this is for you. Feng Su took the dagger, a look of astonishment in his eyes. He carefully examined the exquisite small blade. The surface was snow-bright and incredibly sharp, unlike any weapon he had ever seen. A fine blade, he sincerely praised. He looked up at Su Yue. Little Moon, is this dagger really for me? Just as Su Yue was about to reply, the system's ding rang out in her mind. Congratulations to the host. Feng Su's favorability has increased by 15. Current favorability, 85. Keep up the good work. Surprise welled in her heart, but her smile deepened on the outside. Of course. Since you gave me a gift, I should naturally return the favor. You've never given me anything. Yilin's red eyes narrowed slightly, his tone carrying a hint of grievance. Exactly! You're is being biased. Xuanming also chimed in, looking displeased. Bai Qi and Qingju, though silent, conveyed envy in their eyes. Molin coldly glanced at the dagger in Feng Su's hand and remained silent, but the air pressure around him noticeably dropped. Su Yue couldn't help but laugh awkwardly at the reaction of her beast husbands. All right. Feng Su just joined our family. This is both a return gift and a welcoming gift for him as the 7th beast husband. Why are you all so jealous? I'll give you something appropriate later. Xuanming stepped out, looking disgruntled, his dark golden eyes staring at her with injury. Then why didn't Yor give me a welcoming gift when I first joined this family? Yor is biased toward the flamboyant phoenix. The atmosphere instantly froze. Su Yue's mouth twitched. Was the situation back then the same as now? Back then, Xuanming suspected she wasn't the original host and nearly choked her to death. Give him a gift? Not making him kneel on a washboard was merciful enough. She rolled her eyes in exasperation. How dare you bring that up? Think about what you did back then. Hearing her words, a trace of remorse flashed in Xuanming's dark golden eyes. He had indeed gone too far back then. He had not only misunderstood Yor, but also nearly hurt her. Regret washed over him. He stepped in front of her and coaxed her softly. Yor, I was wrong. Don't be angry. Tell me what gift you want, and I'll get it for you immediately. Su Yue laughed internally, but kept a straight face. I don't need any gifts. I just want you all to get along. And stop being so jealous. Her words brought a momentary silence to the beast husbands present. Bai Qi looked at the dagger in Feng Su's hand, a flicker of emotion in his beautiful fox eyes. Yor used to favor him the most, but now this flamboyant phoenix had easily received such an exquisite gift from her. This made him feel a little disappointed and a sense of unprecedented crisis. Bai Qi suddenly smiled softly, his 10 white fox tails swaying gracefully. Yor is right. Why should family argue over such things? As he spoke, he took a lustrous jade hairpin from his sleeve. The head of the hairpin was carved into a lifelike fox. I've been polishing this cold jade hairpin for a long time. I intended to give it to Yor on her birthday. His fingers gently turned the hairpin, and it shone with a warm luster in the sunlight. A small chi was carved on the end of the pin, clearly showing he had prepared it carefully and put a lot of effort into it. Su Yue was touched. She hadn't expected Bai Qi to be so thoughtful and remember her birthday, especially since beastmen generally didn't keep track of birthdays or celebrate them. Quote, Bai Qi, thank you. She took the hairpin and gently stroked the fox carving. The touch was warm and delicate, just like the feeling Bai Qi gave her. Seeing her pleasure, Bai Qi's smile deepened. It's good that Yor likes it. This scene was not lost on the other beast husbands, who were all feeling a mix of emotions. Yilin's eyes flashed with gloom. Xuanming frowned. Qingju remained cool and indifferent, looking down, lost in thought. Molin's gaze involuntarily fell on the jade hairpin in Su Yue's hand, pondering if he should also prepare something for Yor. Xuanyuanming's dark golden eyes were filled with complexity. It looks like I also need to prepare something incredibly precious for Yar. Fengsu watched the scene with a half smile, playing with the dagger in his hand. Baiqi narrowed his eyes slightly, his gaze dangerously fixed on Fengsu. Baiqi's face, however, was still graced with a gentle smile. Young Master Feng, since you are new here, why don't I show you around? Fengsu's fiery red wings moved without wind. His peach blossom eyes remained enchanting. That sounds wonderful. We can discuss how to please our little fish. I hear he used to like you the most. The two men's gazes met, and sparks flew instantly. After a full day of busyness, night quickly arrived. Suyue had just finished bathing and was using a beast hide to wipe her wet hair when a pair of strong arms embraced her from behind. Yi Lin! She smelled the familiar scent of ice and snow and knew who it was without turning around. Yi Lin's eyes were dark and deep. He lowered his head to inhale the fragrance of her hair. Did you miss me? Since their previous misunderstanding was resolved, the two had reconciled, but due to the rotating schedule, they hadn't had a chance to be intimate. Tonight was finally his turn. Suyue turned, meeting his scorching red gaze. Her heart raced, and she blurted out, I did! Yi Lin's Adam's apple bobbed. He scooped her up in a horizontal embrace and strode toward the depths of the dense woods. This was their specially chosen love nest, far from the tribe's bustle. It was surrounded by thick shrubs, and the ground was dotted with blooming wildflowers, whose fragrance mixed with the scent of grass and earth. Soft beast hides covered the ground, and two torches in the corner flickered, casting a dancing light in the night. It was secluded, warm, and secretive. Yi Lin gently set her down on the hides, his red eyes fixed on her without blinking. Maybe I don't know how to say sweet words. Maybe I'm not gentle or considerate enough. Maybe I'm not good at pleasing you, and I even hurt you once. But please believe me, I am absolutely the one who loves you the most. For you, I would willingly go through a mountain of knives and a sea of fire. He took her hand and placed it gently over his heart, his eyes locked on hers, full of tenderness, deep affection, and attachment. Suyue looked at his serious face and felt the furious thump-thump of his heart. Her own heart grew anxious. Although Yi Lin's nature was domineering and forceful, sometimes to the point of ignoring others' feelings, his love for her was definitely genuine. Suyue's fingers ran through Yi Lin's long gray hair. I know you would give your life for me, but you need to change that bad temper of yours. You always leave me half dead with anger. Yi Lin laughed softly, capturing her playful hand and kissing it at his lips. I will change. I will do anything Yor tells me to. His voice was filled with boundless spoiling and indulgence. She smiled happily, proactively wrapping her arms around his neck. You said it. If you don't do it, you're a puppy. Woof, woof! Yi Lin, completely without principle, barked once and then lowered his head, sealing her non-stop red lips with his own. The surrounding temperature rapidly increased. I love you. I truly, truly love you. Just then, a sharp snap sounded in the distance. Yi Lin's head whipped around, and a beam of ice crystal shot from his brow. Beast husband number 1, in a bid to enjoy a private moment with his wife, had deliberately chosen a secluded patch of woods. He thought he had successfully avoided everyone's sight, unaware that just a short distance away, the other 6 beast husbands were huddled together, loudly conspiring about where to get the best view for the live stream. Xuanming's voice was laced with jealousy. That damned birdman, Yi Lin, loves to spy on others in the middle of the night. How about we climb up the tree branches and watch them instead? Fengsu laughed flirtatiously. That's a good idea. It's a long night, and we have nothing else to do. Might as well watch the show. He chuckled, and with a flash, he had already found the best fork in a tree and squatted down, not forgetting to wave the others over. Hurry up, this spot is perfect. Guaranteed not to miss any exciting part. Mo Lin's mouth twitched. Truly the flamboyant phoenix. He's more enthusiastic about this than anyone. He said nothing but instantly darted onto another branch, ready for the spectacle. Baiqi looked pensive. Although he felt spying wasn't good, he remembered how often Yi Lin had done the same when it was his turn. Changing his mind, he immediately found a branch to squat on, preparing to watch. Qingju was concealed among the dense leaves of an ancient tree, his emerald eyes narrowed slightly. The shame of being tricked by Yi Lin last time was still fresh. That scoundrel had lied, saying, Yor only likes gentleness and is most afraid of pain. But as a result, Yor had been thoroughly dissatisfied that night and had almost left mid-session. Xuanming had mocked him for not being capable. that dead birdman. Tonight, I'll see what you're capable of. On an ancient tree not far away, Xuan Ming was crouched on a branch, his wild, arrogant face alight with excitement. Look quick! Yi Lin's pinning you to the beast hide. Feng Su's peach blossom eyes sparkled. Tursk, that bastard's movements are skilled. Bai Qi was about to speak when he suddenly froze. Yi Lin had abruptly lifted his head, and his red eyes accurately pinpointed their hiding place. In the moonlight, his third eye slowly opened, and countless ice crystals condensed into a cocoon in the air. Get out! Accompanied by this single word, a shower of ice swords howled toward the ancient trees where the group was hiding. Holy sh*T! Xuan Ming was too slow to dodge, and a good chunk of his hair was sliced off. Yi Lin, you motherfucker! Bai Qi and the others, who were perched on branches further away, wore expressions of schadenfreude. Serves you right. After being discovered, the group couldn't very well continue spying. They all knew Yor belonged to Yi Lin tonight. In the end, they could only retreat to their homes, full of envy. After several consecutive days of this, Su Yue was truly exhausted. She hurried to the lake to wash her face, gazing at the lush forest in the distance. Closing her eyes to breathe the air of freedom, Yi Lin suddenly wrapped his large hands around her waist from behind. His red eyes scanned her slightly fatigued face. Didn't rest well last night? Su Yue's cheeks flushed. Last night had been Qingju's turn. That man, usually so cool and aloof, had been like a machine that finally turned on. He had tormented her, until the sky was nearly bright before letting her go. Just as Su Yue was about to speak, a commotion suddenly erupted in the distance. Someone has trespassed! The two exchanged a look and quickly rushed over. Qingju and the others, who had been busy nearby, also immediately put down their work and surrounded the area. Muhan? Su Yue looked at Muhan, who was standing in the empty space, in surprise. Why are you here? Muhan knelt on one knee, his gaze fixed on her. I have come to fulfill my promise. I once said I would trade my life for Chu Yu's. Since you spared her, my life is now yours. From this day forward, I, Muhan, am your guardian, until death. The entire scene fell silent. Feng Su was perched on a tree branch, his eyes full of admiration. Yo, he's a man of his word. But his eyes were full of caution. Bai Qi narrowed his eyes at Muhan. Muhan's strength was not inferior to theirs, and his face was quite striking. He was truly uneasy about having a guardian like this, beside Yor. He wasn't worried that Muhan couldn't protect Yor, but rather that he would become the 8th beast husband. Yi Lin's eyes narrowed, and a cold aura flared around him. My female does not need protection from outsiders. Muhan was unmoved, still kneeling perfectly straight. Su Yue looked at the scene and suddenly let out a soft laugh. All right, then you can stay. From now on, your job is to protect me. She admired Muhan's loyalty and righteousness. With a man like him as a guardian, he would die before letting anything happen to her. As for Muhan, his heart and soul belonged to Chu Yuyu, which she didn't mind in the slightest. He was a bodyguard, not a husband. She didn't care about his past entanglements. Yi Lin frowned. Su Yue squeezed his hand. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Yi Lin hesitated for a moment, and then said no more. Bai Qi and the others also kept their thoughts to themselves, not voicing any opposition. Just like that, Muhan officially became Su Yue's guardian. In the evening, Su Yue stood atop the newly built lookout tower, enjoying the cool night breeze. Suddenly, a pair of large hands very naturally wrapped around her waist. Su Yue flinched, turning to see Mo Lin. You dead snake! Do you never make a sound when you walk? She complained, rolling her eyes. Mo Lin smiled warmly. Let's go, Yor! Time to eat! As he spoke, his large hands continued to roam restlessly. Su Yue glared at him. Does my tofu taste good? Mo Lin replied with a serious expression. I was worried you might lose your footing and fall down. She rolled her eyes, too lazy to expose his lie. As they talked, they descended the lookout tower and walked toward the direction of their thatched hut. The scent of cooking rice and meat wafted on the evening wind. In the center of the wolf tribe's temporary camp, several bonfires burned. Beastmen sat in small groups, holding their newly fired clay bowls and eating stewed meat, occasionally letting out satisfied sighs. Inside the thatched hut, dinner was ready, and the table was covered with delicious food, the aroma filling the air. Su Yue sat in the main seat, and the 7 beast husbands, Yi Lin, Mo Lin, Bai Qi, Qingju, Xuan Ming, Xuan Yuan Ming, and Feng Su took their places. Ying Ren, He Sha, Shuang Yan, and the 8 snake babies lay nearby, each eating the food in their bowls, behaving quite obediently, with no fighting over food. Mu Han sat alone in the corner, holding a piece of golden roasted lean meat and nibbling at it in strips. He wasn't unfamiliar with the delicacies on the table. Back in the Yihu tribe, Chu Yu often cooked him various dishes. However, he had never seen rice before and thought it smelled fragrant. Su Yue noticed his gaze and suddenly called out, "Mu Han, come eat with us." These words caused the other beast husbands to frown simultaneously. They all turned to look at Mu Han with cold faces. A flicker of surprise crossed Mu Han's golden eyes. "I'm fine eating this." Xuan Ming slapped the table. "Stop pretending! When Little Moon tells you to come, you come!" Feng Su looked at Xuan Yuan Ming with a sarcastic tone. "Cousin, he's a guardian, you know." Xuan Yuan Ming glanced at Feng Su, ignoring him. But his gaze was heavy as he stared at Mu Han. He was wary of this newcomer. If Mu Han's strength was average and his looks common, it would be fine. But this man's face was no less handsome than any of the husbands present. How could he possibly relax under such circumstances? Luckily, this beast man named Mu Han only had that female named Chu Yu in his heart. Otherwise, the 7 of them wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Mu Han slowly rose in the face of everyone's scrutiny and sat down in the empty seat next to Qingju. This seat was originally Xuan Ming's. Xuan Ming was busy filling Su Yue's bowl with rice and hadn't been able to occupy the seat. When he returned with a full bowl of white rice, he saw his spot was taken and immediately exploded. "Dead tiger! Why are you sitting in my seat?" Mu Han looked up at him, his golden eyes calm. "You weren't there. I was going to serve myself rice." Xuan Ming slammed his bowl onto the table in anger, splashing rice. "Get up!" Mu Han was about to rise, but Su Yue gently pressed down on his arm. "Just sit there. Xuan Ming, you sit over there." She didn't understand why they had to fight over a seat. What difference did it make where they sat? If he really had to, Xuan Ming could just squat to eat. Xuan Ming's wild, arrogant face instantly crumpled. "Little Moon, you're playing favorites!" Feng Su burst out laughing. "A boar is a boar. He can't even hold on to a seat. Flamboyant Phoenix, shut up." Xuan Ming glared at him, then looked tearfully at Su Yue. "It was clearly my turn tonight." Su Yue rubbed her temples. "I'm tired. I want to rest for 2 days." She hadn't had a single night off during this whole time. Even a body of iron couldn't sustain this daily routine. "Mainly, I'm just too full and don't want to fight anymore." "What?" Xuan Ming's voice suddenly rose. "Why are you suddenly resting when it's my turn?" His voice trailed off, filled with grievance. Yilin's red eyes swept coldly over him. "You said she's tired, so she's tired." Mo Lin expressionlessly added, "Too noisy." Bai Qi gently placed a piece of mutton in Su Yue's bowl. Eat more. You've certainly been working hard lately." Qingju's emerald eyes glanced at Xuan Ming, then back down. Xuan Ming instantly deflated. He shot a fierce glare at Mu Han and reluctantly sat down on the opposite side. Mu Han looked down at the unfamiliar white rice in his bowl, a look of pleasant surprise in his eyes. He picked up his chopsticks and put some in his mouth. The soft, sweet flavor melted on his tongue, widening his eyes slightly. "Does it taste good?" Su Yue rested her chin on her hand. Watching him, Mu Han nodded, a hint of softness in his golden eyes. "It's very unique." "If it's unique, eat more." Su Yue added a piece of stewed mutton to his bowl. "It tastes great with rice." This action was completely unintentional, merely a casual gesture, but it instantly overturned the vinegar jar. Ice formed on the chopsticks in Yilin's hand. Mo Lin crushed his entire clay bowl. Bai Qi's tiger tail wound dangerously around Su Yue's waist, conveying a mix of grievance and pleading. Qingju lowered his eyes, repeatedly poking the rice in his bowl with his chopsticks. Feng Su suddenly leaned in, his peach blossom eyes fluttering. "Little fish, I want some too." Su Yue sighed helplessly and also gave him a piece of meat. "Don't you have hands?" Feng Su's smile blazed. "I do, but I just want to eat what your feeds me." Xuan Yuan Ming's dark golden eyes stared at Mu Han. "A guardian should act like a guardian. See Baofu? You should learn from him." He pointed to Baofu, who was squatting in the corner, wolfing down his rice bowl. Baofu, whose mouth was covered in rice, looked up blankly when he was mentioned. Mu Han's golden eyes darkened slightly. He put down his bowl and chopsticks and stood up. "I overstepped," Su Yue frowned. "Xuan Yuan Ming." Xuan Yuan Ming suddenly reached out and pulled her into his embrace, his dark golden eyes filled with blazing anger. "Your cares for him! Yelin's ice blade instantly pressed against Xuan Yuanming's throat. Let her go! Feng Su quickly stood up, pulling Xuan Yuanming away. Cousin, let's talk this out. Don't be so aggressive. Bai Qi stepped in, smiling to mediate. You're scaring him. Mu Han silently retreated to the shadows, like a statue. Mo Lin coldly glanced at him. Unless Yer is in danger, only appear when you are called for. Understood? Mu Han's golden eyes moved slightly. He replied softly. Understood. He turned and melted into the night, disappearing without a trace. Su Ye struggled out of Xuan Yuanming's arms, frowning at him. What are you going crazy for? Xuan Yuanming's eyes held a mixture of displeasure and grievance. Why are you so good to him, Yor? She rolled her eyes in exasperation. How am I good to him? It was just a meal. Are you being serious? Yilin walked to her side, his red eyes coldly sweeping over Xuan Yuanming. Yor is this kind to everyone. He's not an exception. Xuan Yuanming's face darkened. He secretly regretted his impulsive outburst that had upset Yor. He was surprised by his lack of self-control today. He should have held back and let the other husbands go first. But seeing Yor be kind to Mu Han, he simply couldn't control his temper. After dinner, everyone went to rest. Since the tribe was still under construction, the beast husbands were currently all staying temporarily in Su Yue's hut. Fortunately, the hut was spacious enough to accommodate a dozen people with room to spare. Su Yue lay down on the soft beast hides, with Yelin sleeping on her left and Mo Lin sleeping soundly on her right. The two men held her tightly, one on each side. Bai Qi and the others slept nearby. She turned, facing Mo Lin's sleeping face, and gently traced his outline with her finger. Mo Lin suddenly opened his eyes, staring at her intently. Can't sleep? Su Yue jumped. She hadn't expected him to be faking sleep. She rolled her eyes. With you two hugging me so tightly, one on each side, how can I possibly sleep? Mo Lin chuckled, pulling her closer into his arms. Since you can't sleep, why don't we do something meaningful? Her cheeks instantly flushed crimson. She glared at him coquettishly. All you think about is taking advantage of me. It's not your turn tonight. Mo Lin chuckled softly, his warm breath fanning her neck. Yours too tempting, I just can't resist. Su Yu suddenly frowned, feeling a familiar discomfort. It felt like her period had arrived. Wait, she clumsily pushed Mo Lin away. Let me go! I need to go to the outhouse! She hurried to her feet and rushed outside. Mo Lin frowned, intending to follow, but she shot him a sharp look that made him halt. Don't follow me! After changing her sanitary cloth, Su Yu walked out of the outhouse, feeling refreshed. She decided to go to the lake to wash her hands and enjoy the night scenery. She reached the lake and was about to bend down to wash her hands when she suddenly heard the sound of splashing water. She looked over curiously and saw Mu Han bathing in the lake. In the moonlight, Mu Han's chiseled body was dimly visible in the water. Water droplets rolled down his muscular chest, finally merging into the lake. He looked incredibly seductive in the moonlight, like a painting of a beautiful man emerging from the water. Just as she was about to turn away, she noticed something. The companion mark that should have been on Mu Han's chest was gone. Who's there? Mu Han suddenly turned his head, a flash of alertness in his golden eyes. Su Yue didn't have time to hide, so she braced herself and walked out. It's me. Mu Han instantly froze. The night wind carried the female's unique sweetness, mixed with the faint scent of blood, causing his muscles to instantly tense up. This is the scent of the mating season. His Adam's apple bobbed, and he unconsciously took half a step back. Why are you so jumpy? Su Yue pretended not to notice his abnormality and pointed to his chest. Where is your companion mark? Mu Han looked down at himself and was also stunned. He raised his hand and touched the spot where the mark used to be, his brows tightly furrowed. I once regressed to a cub, losing all my memories, which is like living life over again. I later reconstructed my body, so the companion mark naturally disappeared. Before he finished speaking, Mo Lin's slender figure emerged from the moonlight. Mu Han noticed Mo Lin's appearance, looked at Su Yue with a complicated expression in his golden eyes, and said, You should go back quickly. Su Yue nodded and turned, only to hear a splash behind her. Su Yue turned and saw Mu Han completely submerged in the water, only the top of his fuzzy head visible. She almost burst out laughing. This pure, innocent look. He hardly seems like he's had a partner. Mo Lin walked up to Su Yue, his brow slightly furrowed. Weren't you going to the outhouse? Why are you here? She shrugged. I came to wash my hands after the outhouse. I didn't expect to run into him. She pointed toward Mu Han in the lake. Mo Lin followed her gaze and saw Mu Han's fuzzy head, motionless in the water, clearly struggling to restrain himself. A flash of displeasure crossed Mo Lin's eyes, but he quickly suppressed it. Done? Time to go back. Suyue nodded. Let's go back. The two walked side by side in the moonlight. Mo Lin suddenly spoke, his voice low and strained. The scent on you, you're in heat. Suyue's face instantly flushed crimson. She instinctively backed away half a step. There are 6 other beast husbands with keen senses asleep in the hut. If I go back now, it'll be chaos. She was about to speak when she suddenly caught the pungent scent of male pheromones from Mo Lin. The dead snake's eyes were fixed on her. If you go back now, the consequences will be unimaginable. His throat bobbed, and his voice was impossibly hoarse. We'll go to the small woods. He then immediately swept her into a horizontal embrace. Under the moonlight, the lake water shimmered. Muhan's head slowly broke the surface. He stared in the direction Suyue had disappeared, his throat bobbing. The scent emanating from Suyue made his whole body restless. Damn it! He suddenly plunged back into the water, but the icy lake water couldn't extinguish the fire inside him. Inside the hut, Yilin suddenly opened his eyes. He inhaled the familiar, sweet scent in the air, and his body instantly tensed. Yu is in heat. His low voice startled Bai Qi, who was sleeping beside him. Bai Qi caught the scent in the air and noticed Yu was missing. In an instant, all sleep vanished. Mo Lin was gone too. The two exchanged a look and simultaneously leapt up, dashing out of the hut at the fastest speed they had ever run, following the scent wafting in the air. At the same time, Qingju, Xuanyuanming, and Feng Su all woke up, their eyes surging with uncontrollable fire. Holy SH**T! Xuanming angrily kicked off his animal hide blanket. Where did that long black worm take little Moon? Feng Su's fiery red robe was disheveled. Where else? The small woods, of course. Xuanyuanming's dark golden eyes surged with rage. He immediately rose to his feet. He seeks death. The 4 of them rushed out of the hut almost simultaneously, following the scent toward the depths of the forest. Holy SHT, is this going to be a 1 versus 7 fight? The woman's simple state of being in heat instantly made 7 beast husbands uncontrollably restless, even willing to fight fiercely to claim her. The system's understanding of in heat means getting her period. Right now, Mo Lin had Suyue pinned against a thick tree trunk. His finger traced her flushed cheek, his voice terrifyingly hoarse. I love you. Suyue's face was crimson. She leaned against the tree trunk, barely standing. Mo Lin's throat bobbed. He could restrain himself no longer and lowered his head to seal her lips. Suddenly, a cold laugh echoed through the woods. Mo Lin, you certainly know how to pick a spot. Yi Lin's figure appeared seemingly out of nowhere, an ice crystal flashing at his brow. Behind him, Bai Qi and the others appeared like phantoms, surrounding them. Mo Lin shielded Suyue behind him and expressionlessly swept his gaze over the group. Get out! You're the one who should get out. Xuanming's wild, arrogant face was filled with displeasure. You long-dead worm. It wasn't even your turn, and you sneak eat. Bai Qi elegantly undid his tunic, his voice impossibly gentle. Yoyar, how about I relieve your discomfort? Qingju's emerald eyes were dark as water. Flirtatious fox, get lost! The flamboyant phoenix, Feng Su, had already shed his robes. How about we all go together? Xuanyuanming's dark golden eyes were fixed on Suyue, his voice rough. Yor, come here. Suyue's scalp crawled. All 7 beast husbands had entered a state of arousal. This scene was more terrifying than facing a world-ferocious beast. She was about to speak when Mo Lin suddenly picked her up. Yor, hold on tight. Mo Lin whispered in her ear, and with her in his arms, he darted deeper into the dense woods. The area instantly erupted behind them. Stop him! You black worm, stop right there! Don't scare Yor! Yor is mine! What a chaotic night. In the confusion, Suyue felt the world spinning. Mo Lin's speed was astonishing as he deftly weaved through the woods. But the other beast husbands were no easy opponents, especially Yilin and Xuanyuanming, who caught up in a blink. Crack! Mo Lin was forced to stop by Yilin's ice blade and had to set Suyue down on a protruding rock. The 7 beast husbands instantly surrounded him. A terrifying flame burned in each of their eyes. The 7 beast husbands, vying for her, immediately started fighting right there, shaking the earth. Suyue stood on the rock, anxious beyond measure. The overwhelming male pheromones in the air were almost drowning her. As the 7 beast husbands fought more fiercely, ice blades and wind blades crossed. Nether Dark Fire and Phoenix True Fire collided. The entire forest was trembling. At this point, the rotation system and taking turns were nonsense. All of them were fighting with bloodshot eyes. In the chaos, Suyue was suddenly pulled into a warm embrace. Bai Qi's 10 tiger tails formed a barrier. His fingers stroked her face, which was crimson and swollen. I'll help you. Before he finished speaking, Xingju's windblade tore through the air. Flirtatious fox, you're looking for death. The world spun before Suyue's eyes. 7 pairs of hands reached for her simultaneously. Unconsciously, she rubbed against the nearest chest and heard a sweet whimper escape her lips. Stop fighting, all of you! Yilin suddenly roared coldly, his red eyes sweeping over everyone. Can't you tell your state is wrong? The beast husbands all stopped. Their gaze fell upon Suyue. Her eyes were teary, her face flushed. She was clearly no longer fully conscious. She felt herself being laid down on the spread-out animal hide. You guys? Suyue tried to say something but was silenced by Yilin's mouth. Fengsu's wings covered her. His smooth, dashing voice was now hoarse. Little fish, don't be afraid. The woods instantly filled with a jumble of noises. In the confusion, she didn't know whose lips sealed her protests or whose fingers laced with hers. The tiger-striped Mu Han buried his head underwater, pretending to be a turtle. At dawn, Suyue slowly opened her eyes. The 7 beast husbands, some still in beast form, others in human form, all bore ambiguous scratch marks on their bodies. Mo Lin picked up the damp animal hide skirt. Expressionless, he said. The city wall is finishing up. We should start building houses. Fengsu played with a lock of her long hair. Little fish is resting today. We can work without him. She stubbornly tried to stand up, but her legs gave out, and she tumbled back into Bai Qi's arms. The old fox chuckled, using his foxtail to wipe away her sweat. Trying to be tough, Qingju peeled fruit and put it into her mouth. Xuanming and Xuanyuanming simultaneously brought her grilled meat and a water cup. Little Moon, you must be hungry. Drink some water to soothe your throat first. Suyue fiercely kicked the water and food in front of her. You are all beasts! The 7 beast husbands exchanged a look and, with one voice, laughed fiercely. We always have been. Half an hour later, Yilin carried Suyue back to the hut to rest. The 7 beast husbands then went off to work. The hut instantly fell silent, leaving her alone. Suyue breathed a sigh of relief. Lying on the soft animal hide, she stared at the ceiling, her heart a mix of emotions. She recalled the madness of last night, her face involuntarily flushing. She didn't know exactly what happened last night, only that it ended in utter chaos. As she thought about it, her face burned with embarrassment. She felt utterly shameful. Somewhere in the haze, she drifted off to sleep. When she woke up, the sun was high outside. Suyue rubbed her relaxed, sleepy eyes. Just as she was about to get up, Yilin entered the hut carrying a bowl of hot soup. You're awake? His expression was full of doting affection. She noticed his slightly red face and glared at him. Mm-hmm. She took the soup bowl, but her hands were weak. Her fingers trembled, and she nearly dropped it. Yilin's eyes narrowed slightly. He steadied the bottom of the bowl with one hand. Don't move. I'll feed you. As the spoon neared her lips, she caught sight of fresh scratch marks on Yilin's chest. Memories of the chaotic night instantly flooded back. Her face turned crimson. I'll do it myself! She snatched the bowl and quickly drank the contents. Soup dribbled down her chin. Yilin suddenly leaned down and licked the drop away. Don't waste it! Suyue's cheeks flushed. She glared at him, grumbling internally. This bastard really knows how to seize an opportunity to take advantage of me. Outside the hut, the voice of the old phoenix, Feng Qi, suddenly called out. Master, your old servant found a strange-colored stone. What is it? I brought it for you to check. Suyu's interest was piqued by the mention of a strange stone. She rushed out of the hut and saw Feng Qi holding a stone that shimmered with a metallic luster. Suyue's eyes immediately lit up. Copper ore! Just as she was about to take it, Mo Lin also walked over, holding a small animal hide pouch proudly. Look at this, too. Suyue suspiciously opened the pouch and found it filled with some reddish stones and colorful stones. She instantly recognized them as hematite and malachite. A look of pleasant surprise flashed in her eyes. Where did you find these? A hint of a smile flickered in Mo Lin's eyes. I found them in the Green Rock Mountain next to the New tribe. I remembered you once said I could bring back anything I didn't recognize for you to identify, so I picked up a few. He glanced at the stones in Suyue's hand. Are these stones useful? Suyue's eyes sparkled as if she had discovered a treasure. Useful? Of course they're useful! These are hematite and malachite. Hematite can be smelted into iron and used to forge various tools and weapons. For example, the cleavers and daggers I brought out are all made of iron. The quality is extremely hard. She then held up the colorful malachite. This has a high copper content. It can be refined into copper. With copper, we can make copper pots, copper mirrors, copper basins. In short, the uses are too numerous for me to explain right now. Yi Lin and the others were all delighted. They didn't know what copper was, but they certainly knew the cleavers and daggers. They were truly rare and excellent items, especially the dagger Yuer gave Feng Su, which was incredibly sharp, capable of cutting metal like mud. They had been green with envy, but there was only one. Yi Lin's eyes flashed slightly. Can these stones really be smelted into iron to forge weapons as hard and sharp as that dagger? Of course, Suyue said, carefully putting the two types of ore away. She suddenly remembered something and turned to Feng Qi. Where did you find the brass-colored block you brought back? Its copper content is even higher than malachite's. It's true brass. Just a little refining to remove the impurities, and it's copper. Just as Feng Qi was about to answer, he suddenly caught a sweet scent. His old face instantly flushed crimson. He subtly took 2 steps back. Reporting to Master, I found it by the stream beneath the northern cliff. Before he finished speaking, Feng Li beside him suddenly coughed violently. The 2 old phoenixes exchanged a look and retreated a few more steps in silent understanding. Although they were old, they were still male, and the scent made them extremely awkward. Suyue was confused at first, but then quickly realized she was currently in heat. These 2 old phoenixes were likely embarrassed to their toes after catching her scent. Suyue touched her nose, trying to ease the awkward atmosphere. Why don't we go to Green Rock Mountain now? If we can find more hematite and malachite, we can forge more tools and weapons. Yi Lin nodded slightly and quickly went to summon the tribe's elite beasts. Xuan Ming carried a pile of wicker baskets, buckets, and various mining tools, striding over. His wild, arrogant face was full of excitement. Little Moon, I heard that stone can be used to forge weapons. Make a dagger for me too. Qingju's emerald eyes glanced at him. It would be a waste for a boar to use a dagger. You dead bamboo! You! Xuan Ming was about to explode, but Mo Lin coldly interrupted. What's the fuss? Let's go! Feng Su fanned his fiery red wings, turning in a showy circle. Little Moon, I fly fast. How about I carry you? Xuan Yuanming's dark golden eyes instantly darkened. He whipped his tail onto the ground. Get lost! Cousin, you're being mean to me! A hint of grievance instantly appeared in Feng Su's eyes. Su Yui's mouth twitched. This show-off is a clown. Rubbing her temples in annoyance, she ignored the squabble and turned to Bai Qi. Bai Qi, you're responsible for planning the mining route. Bai Qi's 10 foxtails swayed gracefully. As you command, my Yuer. The group quickly arrived at Green Rock Mountain. The setting sun stained the exposed rock blood red. Su Yuyi carefully identified the stones and confirmed they were indeed hematite and malachite, and the quantity was considerable. The 2 mountains were practically covered in them. Following the system map, she quickly drew a simple sketch and, pointing to the marked locations, clearly assigned the tasks. Quote, Yi Lin, take 1 team to mine the hematite. Mo Lin, take the other team to mine the malachite. Be careful and don't go deep into the mountain range. Remember to return before dark. Xuan Ming, shouldering his tools, was eager to start. What about me? Bai Qi chuckled, his tiger tail swaying. You, of course, are going to dig for ore. That kind of heavy labor suits you best. He had originally planned to leave Xuan Ming behind to protect Yuer, but remembering Yuer was currently in heat, he quietly abandoned that idea. Instead, he decided he would stay to protect Yuer. As for everyone else, they were all to go dig ore and not return until dark. Xuan Ming immediately burst into scornful laughter. Ha ha! Good! Mining it is! When the weapons are forged, I'll be the first to choose mine. No one is allowed to fight me for it. With that, he carried the only large iron shovel, which was from Su Yue's system inventory, and excitedly ran toward the hematite mine. Su Yue watched his back, shaking her head and laughing. That Xuan Ming truly doesn't mince words. Feng Su suddenly leaned close. Little fish, I found some blue glowing stones on the mountaintop. Do you want to take a look? His warm breath on her ear, combined with his utterly suggestive voice, made Su Yu's face flush crimson. She glared at him flirtatiously. Just as she was about to nod, Xuan Yuanming suddenly grabbed her. The mountaintop is too dangerous. I'll go with your cousin is a party pooper. Feng Su's peach blossom eyes shimmered. He suddenly pointed into the distance. Oh, isn't that Muhan? Everyone snapped their heads around to look, only to find nothing. They had clearly been tricked by the show-off. In that instant, Feng Su instantly transformed into a fire phoenix, swooped up Su Yue, and flew toward the mountaintop. His fiery red feathers traced a dazzling arc in the sunset. Ye Lin's ice blade and Xuan Yuanming's dragon breath both blasted toward him, only succeeding in tearing off a few feathers. Flamboyant Phoenix, you're looking for death! The furious roars of the crowd echoed through the valley. On the mountaintop platform, Feng Su landed and reverted to human form, setting Su Yuki down. When she regained her footing, she looked at Feng Su with a helpless expression. Aren't you childish? Feng Su raised an eyebrow, smiling wantonly. Anything to win a smile from my little fish. She was about to scold him when her gaze was suddenly drawn to a cluster of walnut trees not far away. She turned to Feng Su. Feng Su, you've done well this time. These walnuts are good stuff. Walnuts could not only be eaten, but also pressed for oil, and they were highly nutritious. She was about to start picking them when Feng Su pulled her back. Little Moon, let me handle the heavy work. Feng Su's smile was utterly charming. He quickly climbed the tree, agilely hopping from branch to branch, accurately throwing the plucked walnuts into the animal hide bag Su Yue held. Although he didn't know what was so good about these hard green fruits, seeing his little fish so happy, he didn't mind, winning a smile from a beauty. One person picked walnuts and the other caught them. The atmosphere was exceptionally joyful and harmonious. In a short while, they had stripped all the walnuts from several trees and moved on to another area. During their stroll, Su Yue suddenly slipped, falling backward. Feng Su's eyes were quick, and he caught her waist. Unexpectedly, they both tumbled down the mountain. Feng Su instinctively shielded her with his body. The two of them tumbled down the hillside and landed in the grass. Su Yue lay on top of him, feeling dizzy, but thankfully, Feng Su had cushioned her fall, and she wasn't hurt. She shook her head, trying to clear it, and unintentionally caught sight of Feng Su's magnified, handsome face. At this moment, Feng Su had lost some of his dashing elegance and looked rather disheveled. His red hair and clothes were covered in grass and grime, making him look dusty. Su Yue couldn't help but burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha! Feng Su, you look so ugly right now! Feng Su immediately became unhappy. He pulled Su Yue into his arms. Ugly? Little fish, you must look closely. This face of mine has charmed tens of thousands of females. From 80-year-old crones to 3-year-old cubs. They all swoon over me. How did I possibly be ugly? Su Yue laughed so hard she trembled, completely unable to stop. Tears even came to her eyes. Quote, Feng Su, do you have some misunderstanding about your own charm? 80-year-olds and 3-year-olds? You're a catch for all ages. Feng Su nodded seriously. Naturally, my Feng Su charm is unstoppable. Her stomach ached from laughing. She gently pushed his chest. All right. I believe your charm is boundless. Quick, let me go. We should head back. Feng Su, however, refused to release her, holding her even tighter. He leaned down and whispered in her ear. Little fish, since you know my charm, have you been charmed by me? His voice was low and magnetic, as if possessing a magic that made Su Yue's heartbeat involuntarily quicken. Especially since she was currently in heat. The rush of male pheromones from him was overwhelming. Su Yue looked at Feng Su's handsome face. Inches away, the corner of her mouth lifted, and she boldly met his gaze. Your charm, Feng Su? I certainly feel it. She gave a light laugh, her finger lightly tracing his chest. But it's not that easy to charm me, you know? Feng Su laughed heartily at her words. He leaned down and whispered, My little fish, you truly are unique. With that, he lowered his head and gently captured her lips, stealing all the air from her mouth. Through the kiss, she vaguely heard his muffled voice. Now, no one will fight me for you. This is wonderful. The woman, after being taken advantage of by the Phoenix Beast husband for one night, immediately incurred the collective jealousy of the other 6 beast husbands. Qingju was pouting, sitting beneath a crooked tree, loudly chewing on an underripe lemon. Suyue sighed helplessly. She felt the beast husbands were becoming increasingly childish lately. She walked over and gently patted his shoulder. Qingju. Qingju didn't even lift his head, taking another large bite of the lemon. You don't know how crazy it was last night? And you let the phoenix sneak eat today? Are you trying to die? Suyue was startled, then laughed. She leaned close to Qingju's ear and deliberately lowered her voice. So, Qingju is jealous. The lemon in Qingju's hand dropped with a plop. A faint blush appeared on his usually cool face. I'm just worried about your health. I know, Suyue said, smiling as she took his arm. Qingju cares about me the most. Qingju coldly turned his face away. Stop it with that. From a distance, Fengsu watched the scene, a flicker of displeasure in his peach blossom eyes. Thinking that he was the one who sneak ate today, he ultimately held back and didn't approach. Xuan Yuanming's dark golden eyes narrowed. He was about to step forward, but Bai Qi stopped him. Let them be alone for a while. Bai Qi sighed helplessly. Too much jealousy will only irritate Yue. She will naturally be close to whoever she likes. As he spoke, he gave Fengsu a deliberate glance, a hint of coldness deep in his eyes. He could feel that since Fengsu's arrival, Yue had clearly neglected him, and their intimacy was far less than before. Xuan Yuanming took a long, hard look at Bai Qi. The old fox. He's clearly dying of jealousy inside, but he insists on putting on an act of magnanimity and understanding. Yet, the other man was right. Too much jealousy would only annoy Yue. I must be a sensible husband. Xuan Ming was happily gnawing on meat and completely failed to notice the undercurrents among the others. Meanwhile, Suyue led Qingju to a quiet corner. Still angry? Qingju hung his head, silent. He was angry that she didn't cherish herself. Even more angry that after accepting the 5 of them, she had then accepted Xuan Yuanming and Fengsu. Would there be Muhan or even more after this? The thought of her rolling around with Fengsu in the grass today made him uncontrollably sour. Suyue knew exactly what he was thinking. She sighed lightly and proactively wrapped her arms around Qingju's lean waist, burying her face in his chest. Qingju, you know I've always cared about you. Qingju's body stiffened slightly, but he ultimately couldn't resist. He reached out and hugged her back. I know, but I just can't control my temper. It hurts to see you being intimate with them. Suyue's heart softened. She looked up at Qingju and said softly, Qingju, try to be more open-minded. Whether it's you, Bai Qi, or the others, since I decided to be with you, I will be responsible until the end. I won't favor one over the other. You are all equally important to me. Suyue knew this was difficult. She honestly couldn't definitively say who she liked more. If she had to say who was more important, perhaps it used to be Bai Qi, because he had once lost 3 of his tails for her, which deeply touched her heart. But later, Bai Qi's affection level stayed stubbornly at 90. She knew then that this man was not as simple as he appeared. Qingju's emerald eyes flickered with struggle. He pressed his lips together and looked at Suyue for a long time before saying hoarsely, Okay, I'll try. As long as you care about me, I'm willing to try and accept things I couldn't accept before, as long as it makes you happy. Just then, the system's cheerful prompt sounded in Suyu's mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host! Qingju's affection level has reached its maximum value of 100, achieving until death do us part. Reward. Ultimate gift pack, God level forging technique. Suyue was overjoyed. She hadn't expected a casual reassurance to raise Qingju's affection level to the maximum. Qingju noticed her distraction. His emerald eyes narrowed slightly. What's wrong? She suppressed the excitement in her heart, stood on her toes, and gave him a quick peck on the lips. Nothing! Let's go eat the rhino meat, Fengsu grilled, just as Suyue was speaking. A wolf howl suddenly rang out in the distance. Yi Lin had returned, his red eyes gleaming with a cold light in the night. He was carrying a newly hunted snow deer. He strode over, tossed the prey onto the ground, and then used a bone knife to cut off the tenderest piece of venison. He quickly roasted it over the fire until it was about medium rare, then took it off and handed it to Suyue. Eat. This is tenderer than that rhino meat the flamboyant phoenix fed you. Suyue was momentarily stunned, then laughed. The man was clearly jealous, but he insisted on expressing it this way. She took a bite of the venison. It was indeed fresh, tender, and juicy, melting in her mouth. Delicious. She bent her eyes in unreserved praise. Yi Lin's eyes softened slightly. He He swiftly cut another tender slice of snow deer, roasted it medium rare, and then chilled it with ice for her to eat. Feng Su watched from the side, his teeth aching. He couldn't help but interject. My grilled meat wasn't bad, was it? Before Su Yue could answer, Yi Lin's eyes coldly swept over him. It was terrible. Feng Su's face instantly darkened. Qingju calmly delivered the finishing blow. It was indeed terrible. Xuanming, meanwhile, was happily gnawing on the leftover rhino meat Su Yue had discarded. He wiped his mouth carelessly. I thought it was okay. Xuanyuanming's mouth twitched. He silently sympathized with his cousin, but verbally cursed. Serves you right. Mo Lin had appeared behind Su Yue at some point. His finger rested gently on her shoulder. It's time to rest, Bai Qi gently suggested. It's getting late. We still have to mine tomorrow. Everyone should rest early. Su Yue nodded and walked to the simple tent they had set up. After the commotion last night and the tumble down the hillside with Feng Su this afternoon, she decided not to involve any of them tonight. The 7 men took turns guarding the night, and she slept exceptionally soundly. The next day, immediately after breakfast, the 7 beast husbands started the mining work. Su Yue wasn't idle either. She picked up the hematite they dug out and put it into wicker baskets. If the pieces were too large to carry, she picked up smaller ones, sweating profusely. If the baskets and back baskets weren't enough, she would gather vines and sit under a large tree to weave them. She never stopped working. This made the 7 men extremely distressed. Yi Lin directly pressed her down under the shade of a tree. Sit! Don't move! Mo Lin silently handed her a string of wild grapes. Eat these if you're bored. Feng Su's fiery red wings flashed in a dazzling arc. He snatched the half-woven basket from her hands. Little fish's hands are meant to touch me. How can you do this kind of rough work? Get lost! 6 of the beast husbands yelled in unison. Bai Qi suddenly wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, his 10 tiger tails subtly separating her from the others. Let me show you something. Before Su Yue could react, Bai Qi's tiger tail gently wrapped around her, carrying her deep into the dense woods. Bai Qi? She looked up in confusion at the old fox, who was usually so elegant and composed. His eyes were dark, and his voice was slightly husky. Do you prefer Feng Su's type? Su Yue was startled. She hadn't expected Bai Qi to ask this so suddenly. She looked up at his face, which was handsome enough to be androgynous, and saw an unnatural redness around his eyes. She wanted to explain, but didn't know how. She had indeed neglected Bai Qi recently. The main reason was that she couldn't figure out if Bai Qi truly loved her. If he did, why had his affection level been stuck? She remembered the last time Bai Qi's affection level rose was when they were being chased by Bai Ye's subordinates. Bai Qi was ambushed from behind by the 8-tailed red fox, and in her panic, she rushed forward, despite being pregnant, and took a deadly blow for him. That was the time Bai Qi's affection level soared from 75 to 90. After that, it had remained at 90 and never moved again. Su Yue truly couldn't distinguish if his feelings for her were gratitude or love. Sometimes, those two feelings were easily confused. Perhaps in Bai Qi's heart, even he couldn't tell the difference. Seeing her silence, Bai Qi took it as confirmation, and the sourness in his heart intensified. He suddenly leaned down and bit her earlobe, his voice carrying a hint of grievance. You smiled at him 3 times today and even let him touch you. Su Yue's face was crimson. This old fox, who usually appeared so detached and calm, actually kept such a precise count behind her back. She deliberately teased him. Feng Su is indeed handsome. Am I less attractive than him? Or did you find someone new and forget me, the old flame? Have you grown tired of me? Bai Qi's voice held a rare vulnerability. His usually smiling fox eyes were now clouded with moisture. Su Yue suddenly felt a pang in her heart. She had never seen Bai Qi like this. This old fox, who was always so composed, now had his tiger tails drooping listlessly behind him. Bai Qi, you are very handsome, she whispered, her fingers gently brushing his delicate face. In my heart, you are the most handsome. A hint of surprise flashed in Bai Qi's beautiful fox eyes, but he quickly suppressed it, asking anxiously, Since I am handsome, why has Yer not been as close to me recently? Is it because of Feng Su's appearance? No, it's not him. Su Yue instinctively shook her head. Then what is it? Bai Qi suddenly pinned her against the tree trunk, his eyes full of moisture and grievance. I saw you laughing so happily with Feng Su, and it made my heart ache. He took her hand and pressed it against his chest. It hurts here, like it's being torn by a venomous snake. I admit I envy him, because I want to be the one who makes you happy. But I still have to force myself to be magnanimous because I don't want to upset you. His heart hammered quickly and strongly. Suyue's hand felt burned, and she instantly retracted it. "Bai Qi," she said. He suddenly cupped her face. "Look at me." The morning light filtered through the leaves, dappling his androgynous face with fragmented light. She looked into those fox eyes, which usually held a smile, and saw they were now filled with a shattered light. "Do you love me?" She finally asked the question, buried deep in her heart. Bai Qi froze instantly. All 10 of his tiger tails stopped swaying. "What?" "Not gratitude. Not being moved," she clarified, her finger tracing his rapidly heaving chest. "It's the kind of love where this place goes crazy with pain for me." His throat bobbed. The silver-tongued fox beast, who was usually quick-witted, was suddenly tongue-tied and didn't know how to answer. His foxtails, which had been still, suddenly swept restlessly across the fallen leaves, kicking up leaves and dust. Suyue looked at his suddenly pale face and his silence. Her heart gradually sank to the bottom. Sure enough, even he can't tell the difference. She knew this would happen. She didn't know why this answer mattered so much to her, but it did. Bai Qi's silence was like a dull knife, slowly grinding at her heart. She was about to let go of his hand, but he suddenly grabbed her wrist. "You're..." Bai Qi's voice was hoarse. His fox eyes seemed to be suppressing something. "Then tell me, who are you exactly?" Suyue's heart skipped a beat. Bai Qi had asked her this question before at the Yadi Hot Springs, but she had managed to bluff her way out of it then. Her eyes flickered. She answered instinctively, "I'm Suyue, of course." "You might be Suyue, that's right," Bai Qi said, staring into her eyes, enunciating every word. "But this Suyue is not that Suyue." Suyue's spirit shook, and her entire body instantly tensed. She was seized by an unprecedented panic. Has he seen through me? She knew she wasn't the original owner. She couldn't gauge Bai Qi's thoughts and didn't dare to speak rashly. "What are you talking about? I don't understand." Suyue feigned composure. "Don't understand?" Bai Qi gave a soft laugh, but there was no amusement in his eyes. "In the entire beast continent, you are the only female to awaken an ability, and your ability advancement speed is unbelievably fast. In just over half a year, you went from Tier 1 to Tier 7 peak. Don't you think that's abnormal?" He stared at her visibly nervous face and continued, "You know many things we don't. You can make all sorts of delicacies and create many ingenious yet highly practical items. The bathwash, soap, toothbrush, cleavers, and so on. They seem to appear out of thin air and don't belong to this world. That's the beast god." "The beast god?" he interrupted her, his gaze striking her soul. You use the beast god as an excuse every time." Suyue's fingertips trembled. She knew Bai Qi was smart, but she hadn't expected him to have suspected her for so long and just kept it hidden. No wonder his affection level hadn't increased. Cold sweat broke out on her back. Her hands clenched, her knuckles turning white. She thought of Yelin, Molin, Qingzhu, and Xuan Ming. And Xuan Yuan Ming. Except for the slightly thick-headed Xuan Ming, none of them should have suspected her. Yilin and Qingzhu might have suspicions, but they might not care about such things. Xuan Yuan Ming had been affected by her identity transfer card, and his affection level was 100%, so he would naturally accept her as the original owner unconditionally. Then Molin, his affection level has been stuck at 90 and won't go up. Is that why? Suyue's heart hammered. Molin was usually silent, but those black eyes always made her feel like she had nowhere to hide. She suddenly remembered the look of scrutiny in Molin's eyes the first time she took out the cleaver. Perhaps everyone had seen through her pretense long ago. But because she knew so much and could lead the wolf tribe to become stronger, everyone tacitly pretended not to know. She dared not think any further. The more she thought, the more panicked and afraid she became. Bai Qi took in her frantic, panicked state and generally understood the situation. It had been suspicion before. Now it was confirmation. If his guess was correct, Yuer's soul should be from a highly advanced world and might even carry some kind of special treasure, one that allowed people to conjure objects out of thin air. Yuer, you don't need to be afraid. Bai Qi looked at her frantic expression, his heart softening, and his tone grew much gentler. I don't intend to pry into your secret. He paused. seeming to choose his words carefully. I just want to understand you better. I want to enter your heart. If you trust me, tell me your true identity. I promise I will never reveal it to a third person. Of course, I also want to know about the treasure that can conjure objects. Bai Qi didn't know it was a system, only assuming it was a special treasure from a higher world. Su Yue's heart was a tempest. She hadn't expected Bai Qi to guess this far. Even if she was willing to tell him the secret of coming from an apocalyptic world, the existence of the system was absolutely forbidden to reveal. If she did, she would be instantly erased by the system. Her throat felt dry and tight. She didn't know how to speak. Bai Qi suddenly took half a step back, his 10 snow-white tiger tails elegantly unfurled in the morning light. You don't have to answer me now. He turned and looked at the beastmen mining in the distance. His profile, cast in the tree shadow, appeared especially profound. I can wait. I will wait until the day you are willing to tell me. Su Yue stared blankly at his back. This old fox, who was always so composed, had just given her a way out. Bai Qi, she suddenly spoke. If, she emphasized, if I really am not the original Su Yue, would you... Neither of them noticed a patch of golden clothing peeking out from behind a rock not far away. Quote, would I despise you? Leave you? Bai Qi turned around, a familiar smile playing on his lips. He suddenly approached her, his gaze burning with his usual gentle smile. The one I love is the current you. The you who would shield me from a blow, who makes delicious food, who leads the tribe to a better life. Who you were doesn't matter, does it? Su Yue's heart skipped a beat. She stared blankly at him, as if foolishly dazed. Ding! Bai Qi's affection level +5. Current affection level, 95. Host, keep up the good work. The system's prompt snapped her back to reality. Her nose felt suddenly sore, so he had already accepted this fact. Bai Qi saw her reddened eyes and abruptly pulled her into his embrace. All I care about is whether you care about me. A faint sound came from behind the rock. Xuan Yuanming's fist was clenched tightly. His dark golden eyes peered through a gap in the stone, staring at the intertwined figures of the two. Liar! You are all liars! At this moment, Xuan Yuanming, realizing that Su Yue was not the original owner he deeply loved, but a lone soul who had taken over her body, could no longer control himself. In an instant, he transformed into a 100-meter-long azure dragon and shot toward the sky. His dark golden scales gleamed coldly in the morning light. He charged straight toward Su Yue's location. Bai Qi was the first to notice the shift. He instantly flashed forward. You're a lookout! The woman's identity as a transmigrator was just exposed, and the golden dragon beast husband, who deeply loved the original owner, went into a frenzy, convinced the woman had tricked him of his love. The next second, he tried to kill the woman. Just as Su Yue desperately awaited death, Yilin flashed in like lightning, instantly blocking Su Yue's path. Mo Lin appeared from nowhere, his snake tail wrapping around Su Yue and pulling her rapidly backward. Qingju and Xuanming appeared one after the other. Wind blades and nether dark fire simultaneously blasted toward the enraged golden dragon. Fengsu's fiery red robes fluttered, his phoenix true fire forming a shield. Cousin, calm down! Let's talk this out! A barrage of attacks rained down on Xuan Yuanming. Scales tore from his dragon body, and he bled profusely, but he didn't care at all. His dragon tail swept out, obliterating all the attacks. He reverted to human form, landing with an angry roar, his dark golden eyes filled with monstrous rage, fixed intensely on Su Yue. Liar! The single word caused Su Yue's heart to clench, and she felt deeply ashamed. Let me explain. Explain what? Xuan Yuanming's look was one of utter disgust. Explain how you're wearing my your skin and enjoying my love? Do you, some stray soul from who knows where, deserve it? Xuan Yuanming's words were like knives stabbing into Su Yue's heart. She staggered back half a step, her face pale, momentarily speechless. She felt like a thief who had stolen the original owner's love. The system's frantic voice echoed in her mind. Host, use the memory scissors. Use them, quick! But she didn't react. At this point, using them was meaningless. Why continue to deceive? She might as well face him honestly. Whether you kill me or spare me, do as you please. Molin, seeing her pale face, felt deep distress. His snake tail wrapped around her, pulling her swiftly away. Let's go! Quickly! Go! Go! Get out of Yur's body first! Xuan Yuanming's lips curled into a bloodthirsty smile. His dragon tail swept out, forcing everyone back. Fengsu's fiery red robes fluttered. He quickly blocked Xuan Yuanming. Quote, cousin, be sensible. Even if he's not the original Little Moon, you've spent all this time. Get lost. Xuan Yuanming didn't care about his cousin now. His hands turned into dragon claws, and he swatted Fengsu away. Then, with lightning speed, he blocked Mo Lin. He stared intensely at Su Yue, who was protected in Mo Lin's arms. You think you can replace her by using black magic to take over Yur's body? Every word he spoke drained more color from Su Yue's face. Bai Qi chuckled, stepping forward, his smile devoid of warmth. Xuanming, who do you really love? Little female who saved you back then? Or the act of being saved itself? The words were like a bucket of ice water over Xuan Yuanming's head, instantly freezing him in place. Yi Lin seized the opportunity to pull Su Yue behind him, his eyes cold and stern as he looked at Xuan Yuanming. Even if he's not the Yuer in your heart, you've spent so much time together. Search your heart. Do you truly feel nothing for him? Xuan Yuanming's expression flickered for a moment, then turned cold again. So what? All I have ever wanted is my Yuer, not this imposter. The last three words utterly crushed Su Yue. She suddenly pushed Yilin away and looked directly into Xuan Yuanming's eyes. I am indeed not the original Su Yue. You're, Mo Lin frowned, quickly reminding her. She shook her head and continued, but I never actively took over this body. I woke up already in this body. As for where the Yuer you speak of went, I don't know. You think I'll believe you? The rage in Xuan Yuanming's eyes grew fiercer. He stared at Su Yue, squeezing out every word through gritted teeth. I'll say it one more time. Get out of his body. Otherwise, I don't mind taking action myself and ripping your soul out. You're looking for death. Yi Lin's red eyes surged with a blizzard. His third eye suddenly opened, and countless ice crystals condensed into swords in the air. Xuan Yuanming sneered. His dragon tail swept out. The ice swords hit his scales and instantly dissolved into mist. Mo Lin and the others quickly joined the fight, 6 of them fighting together. Even with Xuan Yuanming's power and madness, he couldn't withstand it. Xuan Yuanming's scales shattered, and blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. He was quickly subdued to the ground, but his dark golden eyes were still fixed on Su Yue. Give Yur's body back to me. Su Yue looked at Xuan Yuanming, pinned to the ground, her heart feeling torn in two. She did have feelings for Xuan Yuanming, and had been deeply immersed in his crazy love, even though that love belonged to the original owner. But under that intense, passionate love, she couldn't help but lose herself. Otherwise, she wouldn't have accepted Xuan Yuanming as the 6th beast husband. She walked up to him and crouched down. If I could return the body to her, I would have done so already. Even if your soul is lost, this body is not for you to occupy. If you don't know how to get out yourself, I can ask the Grand Shaman to come and help you. Xuan Yuanming's words sent a chill through Su Yue. She looked at the man who had once been madly in love with her, whose eyes now held only disgust and hatred. Her heart ached terribly. Her voice trembled slightly. Xuan Yuanming, if I had a choice, I wouldn't want to occupy this body. Don't want to occupy this body? Then get out willingly. All your excuses. You're just afraid to die and unwilling to leave. Xuan Yuanming sneered, his voice piercing her soul. Su Yue's face was terrifyingly pale. Looking at Xuan Yuanming's eyes filled with disgust, she suddenly smiled. I am unwilling to leave. This statement instantly ignited Xuan Yuanming's rage. He suddenly lunged forward, his suppressing dragon claws aimed straight for Su Yu's throat. Then I will personally rip your soul out. Clang. Yi Lin's ice shield shattered at the last second. Mo Lin's snaketail wrapped around Su Yue's waist and legs. Bai Qi, Qingju, and Xuanming all struck simultaneously, once again pinning Xuan Yuanming to the ground, unable to move. Cousin! Fengsu's fiery red robes fluttered violently. He instantly rushed over. Get your head straight! If he dies, little Yur's body will rot too. Who says Yur's body will rot? Xuan Yuanming looked coldly at Fengsu. I will take Yur's body back to the Dragon Clan territory and freeze it with 10,000-year profound ice. As for Yur's soul, I will ask the Grand Shaman to find a way to summon it back. Su Yue's face was ashen white, utterly devoid of color. She should have known. Xuan Yuanming's obsession with the original owner had reached the point of madness. He would even freeze a corpse and attempt soul summoning. At that point, she would become a neglected, wandering, lonely soul until she completely vanished from the world. Yi Lin's red eyes instantly frosted over. Delusional! Molin's face was as cold as a 10,000-year glacier. Over my dead body! Bai Qi's 10 tiger tails swung dangerously behind him, his voice terrifyingly gentle. Xuan Yuan Ming, don't force us to kill you. Qingju's emerald eyes were full of malice. We'll give you 15 minutes to think it over. If you understand, we'll let you live. If you don't, I don't mind extracting your dragon essence. Xuan Ming's nether dark fire danced in his palm. Xuan Yuan Ming, you better think clearly about whether you want to live or die. You can't beat us. As for the fact that Su Yue wasn't the original owner, they didn't care one bit. After all, the one they loved had always been the current Su Yue. You guys, I'm done with you. Xuan Yuan Ming's dark golden eyes surged with monstrous rage, every word squeezed out from his throat. No one is going to stop me today. With that, his dragon tail swept out, forcing the 5 of them back. He then charged straight toward Su Yue. His speed was so fast that only an afterimage could be seen. I must take yours body with me today! Xuan Yuan Ming's dragon roar shook the heavens, and the space around him began to twist. He was using a forbidden Dragon Clan technique. Bai Qi's expression changed dramatically. Damn it, he's opening a spatial tunnel to leave! Su Yue's face was pale. She could feel Xuan Yuan Ming's madness and desperation. She knew she couldn't hesitate any longer, or she would truly die, and the wolf tribe would face utter disaster. System! Use the memory scissors. In her mind, she quickly commanded the system. Cut off all memories related to the original owner and me. Ideally, cut off all memories of the entire southern territory. This was a clean break with Xuan Yuan Ming. From now on, they would go their separate ways and have nothing to do with each other. Ding! Memory scissors activated! As the system prompt fell silent, the wildly rampaging golden dragon suddenly stopped. A look of childlike confusion appeared on his face. He then softly plummeted from mid-air. The 100-meter-long azure dragon crashed heavily onto the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Everyone looked at each other, confused about what had happened. Su Yue, however, knew the memory scissors had taken effect. She walked forward and looked at the unconscious Xuan Yuan Ming, her heart a mix of emotions. What happened to him? Yilin frowned, asking. Nothing. He just fainted, Su Yue said lightly. She then turned to everyone. Let's go back. She was about to turn and leave. Wait! Qingju stopped her. Should we kill him? What if he wakes up and goes crazy again and hurts you? Su Yue paused, her fingertips trembling. Her back was to the others, her voice so soft it was almost inaudible. No need. He won't remember anything. Su Yue turned around, her eyes red, but she forced a bitter smile. I used a secret technique to cut all his memories, including me, the wolf tribe, and even the entire southern territory. Bai Qi's foxtail paused its swaying. He stared at Su Yue, then suddenly chuckled. Your is heartless. Yet he was clearly the one who was most reluctant to part with Xuan Yuan Ming. Mo Lin coldly glanced at the unconscious Xuan Yuan Ming on the ground, a complex look in his eyes. He gently pulled Su Yue's hand and squeezed it tightly. Let's go. Xuan Ming kicked the unconscious Xuan Yuan Ming. Quote, lucky bastard! Feng Su opened his mouth to speak, but finally sighed and dragged Xuan Yuan Ming to the shade of a tree, his expression complicated. Cousin, perhaps it's better to forget. Su Yue followed the group back to the mine, silent the whole way. Yi Lin's red eyes swept over her pale face, a hint of distress in his gaze. He gently tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Still thinking about that crazy dragon? She looked up at him, forcing a smile. No, Qingju walked over and said coolly. You're swaying when you walk. Su Yue pursed her lips and didn't argue. Bai Qi said slowly, since you couldn't bear to part with him, you should have just killed him earlier. That way there wouldn't be future trouble. Quote, Bai Qi, Mo Lin warned in a cold voice. Bai Qi smiled faintly, knowing Yor couldn't bear it, and said no more. With such a commotion, every beastman from the wolf tribe who had come to Green Rock Mountain to mine mostly knew what had happened. When they returned to the mine, everyone looked at her with curious, yet not disgusted expressions. Compared to the previous reviled Su Yue, the current one was clearly more agreeable, more knowledgeable, and had made the wolf tribe much better. Their lives were countless times better than before. Their food was more abundant, and soon they would even live in houses they could never have dreamed of. They genuinely liked the current Su Yue and wholeheartedly accepted him. No matter who he used to be or where he came from, he was Su Yue, and Su Yue was him. However, if the chief were to know that his daughter's soul had been replaced, he might not be able to accept it. Yi Lin naturally thought of what everyone else was thinking. His dark eyes coldly swept over all the beastmen in the mine, his voice laced with chill. Whoever dares to leak a single word about what happened today. His fingertip condensed an ice crystal that instantly pierced a large rock in the distance, a clear threat. Xuanfeng and Jingyu exchanged a look and immediately knelt on one knee, their right hands pressed to their left chests. Xuanfeng said, "I, Xuanfeng, swear by the beast god that I will not reveal a single fraction of it, or I will be torn apart and devoured by 10,000 beasts." Jingyu followed. "I, Jingyu, swear by the beast god that I will not reveal a single word, or my soul will be scattered." The rest of the beastmen followed suit and swore oaths on their knees. Su Yue watched the scene, an indescribable feeling in her heart. She wasn't treated as an alien or a monster to be burned, but was genuinely accepted, with serious oaths being sworn. She felt that everything she had done was worth it. Her throat felt clogged with water-soaked cotton, both sore and tight. She couldn't speak a single word, only swallow. She suddenly turned and ran toward the depths of the cave. Her animal hide boots crushed the ground, making soft thump-thump sounds. "Yuer! Little Moon! Little Yuer!" Yi Lin, Xuan Ming, and Feng Su were worried and tried to chase after her, but Mo Lin raised his hand to stop them. Mo Lin looked toward the cave entrance, a complicated look in his eyes. He sighed softly. "Let him have a good cry. It's better than keeping it all bottled up." In the depths of the cave, Su Yue curled up in the corner of the rock wall. She bit her hand tightly, tears rolling down like broken strings of pearls. To be hated and despised by someone close, it really felt more painful than having one's heart gouged out. Outside the cave, a faint scent of bamboo floated. Qingju was already in the shadow of the rock wall, nervously fiddling with a withered leaf. He listened to the suppressed sobs inside the cave, his heart aching with each one. His emerald eyes darkened, and he finally lifted his foot and walked in. Su Yue hastily wiped her face. When she looked up, she met a pair of cool green eyes. Qingju looked down at her, then suddenly knelt down halfway. His cool fingertips gently wiped away the tears on her face. "Why are you crying? You look terrible when you cry." His words were incredibly contemptuous, but the action of his hands was exceptionally gentle. He took out a clean piece of animal hide and carefully wiped the tears from her face. "That mad dragon isn't worth it." Su Yu stared blankly at him, wiping her tears, forgetting even to cry. Instead, she inexplicably wanted to laugh. Qingju was still as sharp-tongued as ever. Even when comforting someone, he had to say something disdainful. She lowered her eyes, finally unable to help but ask, "Did you already know I wasn't the original owner?" Qingju's movements instantly froze. Yi Lin's deep voice came from outside the cave entrance. "Did you really think we wouldn't notice when the soul of the person sleeping next to us changed?" His tall figure entered the cave, silhouetted against the light. His eyes surged with a dark current she had never seen before. "I started suspecting from the first time you kicked me off the stone bed and almost made me infertile." Su Yue was instantly stunned. That wasn't me. When she first transmigrated, she had no idea what was going on. She just saw this man pressing down on her and, in a panic, kicked him away and ran. She hadn't expected him to have suspected her so early. She stared blankly at him, her expression aghast. Yi Lin took in her aghast expression, and a hint of a smile flashed in his eyes. The original Su Yue would only try to please me. He was desperate to be intimate with me. Since the mating pheromones were originally hers, how could he suddenly kick me away? Coupled with the change in your eyes and the things you said, I became suspicious. Su Yue looked up at him. "Since you knew all along, why didn't you expose me?" Mo Lin appeared behind her at some point. Asterix, you've heard how useless the original Su Yue was. We were forced to be his companion because of the chief's kindness, but we were internally resistant and disgusted. As for whether the soul in this body has changed, we don't care one bit. The one we love has always been you. Bai Qi walked over, his voice full of tenderness. "The Yor I like is right in front of me, isn't he?" Hearing their comfort, Su Yue's mood improved considerably. Yi Lin suddenly knelt on one knee, his eyes burning as he stared at her. "No matter who you are or where you come from, the only companion I, Yi Lin, recognize is the current one, the male who kicks me, who is fierce with me, and who leads the tribe to a better life." Feng Su's dashing voice came from outside the cave. "Oh dear, how can such a touching scene be without me?" He gently lifted Su Yue's chin with his finger. "Little fish, I even gave you my life feather. You surely didn't think I gave it to that previous ugly freak, did you?" Su Yu looked at the sincere, deeply affectionate faces before her. She felt a warmth filling her heart. She had never imagined that the secret she had so carefully hidden had already been seen through by them. Even more unexpectedly, they could accept this absurd truth so calmly. "You..." Her voice was tight, and tears flowed uncontrollably. "Aren't you afraid I'm an evil spirit taking over the body?" Mo Lin suddenly pulled her into his embrace. His deep voice held an intensity she had never heard before. "Even if you are an evil spirit, I accept it." Su Yue froze, not expecting Mo Lin to say that. Just as she was about to speak, a rapid series of system prompts sounded in her mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host. Mo Lin's affection level has reached its maximum value of 100. Ultimate gift pack reward. Time rewind mirror. Can view the past and future. Requires spiritual power to use. Su Yue was utterly delighted. Time rewind mirror. That sounds incredibly powerful. Truly worthy of being an ultimate gift pack. Feng Su's laughing voice sounded in her ear. "Little fish, why are you spacing out again? Are you moved to idiocy by us?" Su Yue snapped back. Looking at the 6 beast husbands surrounding her, their faces etched with worry, she felt immense warmth in her heart. The next day, in the dense woods near the Green Rock Mountain Mine, Xuan Yuanming suddenly opened his eyes. He looked around in confusion. The surroundings were both strange and familiar. His memory showed he had never been here, yet he felt a sense of familiarity. Suddenly, he felt something burning on his chest, like fire. Xuan Yuanming looked down at his chest and saw a wolf-shaped mark over his heart. A companion mark! Seeing the mark, he was instantly terrified. When did I acquire a companion? What female could possibly be worthy of me? Why did he have absolutely no memory of such an important event? Had someone secretly played a trick on him? His face darkened. He was about to risk damage to his own essence to erase the companion mark, but for some reason, he couldn't bring himself to do it. Deep down, he seemed unwilling to do so. His brow furrowed. This feeling came out of nowhere. Xuan Yuanming sneered. "I'll find out who this is, who dares to scheme against me." He immediately pushed his spiritual power into the companion mark on his chest, tracing it back to Su Yue's location. The woman thought cutting off the emotional connection could lead to a clean break and return to being strangers. Little did she know that a companion mark was already etched between them. This bond would ultimately lead them to meet again. As soon as the newly awakened Golden Dragon Beast husband recovered, even with his memories vague, he immediately sought her out. The moment he saw the woman, his heart felt like it had been hit by a heavy hammer. It's him, even though he had no memory. His body reacted first. He clutched his chest, his voice hoarse. "Who are you?" Su Yu's breath hitched. She instantly forgot how to react, simply staring at his eyes, cold and unfamiliar, devoid of hatred, disgust, or his former deep affection. They were just filled with utter confusion, as if looking at a stranger he had never seen before. She opened her mouth, but couldn't make a sound. Isn't this the noble guest from the Northern Territory? Bai Qi's 10 tails swung lightly, his smile meaningful. "Did you get lost?" Xingju silently positioned himself in front of Su Yu, afraid the mad beast would go berserk again and hurt his wife. "None of your damn business! Get lost!" Xuan Yuanming looked coldly at him, his dark golden eyes surging with malice. Ignoring Xingju, he stared intently at Su Yu, moving closer step by step. "Why do I have your companion mark on my chest?" Feng Su's fiery red robes flashed, blocking the way. "Cousin, calm down." Xuan Yuanming finally noticed Feng Su. He didn't remember others, but he remembered Feng Su. The Phoenix clan's young master was his cousin. He stared at Feng Su and frowned, asking, "Why did you run to this godforsaken place?" Feng Su nearly choked on his words. He coughed twice. "My dear cousin, you can come, but I can't." "Stop talking nonsense," Xuan Yuanming impatiently interrupted. "What exactly happened? When did I become companions with this female from the Southern Territory?" Su Yui unconsciously clenched her hands, lowering her eyes and remaining silent. Feng Su glanced at the silent Su Yue, his eyes twinkling. He suddenly clapped his hands. "Oh, cousin, you forgot. Last month, you got drunk and insisted on becoming his companion. I couldn't stop you." "Bullshit." Xuan Yuanming was furious. Would I fall for this kind of The word caught in his throat. He stared at Su Yue's pale face, and his heart inexplicably twinged. The feeling was strange, a mix of love, hate, and disgust. He couldn't quite place it. He vaguely felt that he definitely had a past with this female, but he was unwilling to believe it. Yilin's red eyes narrowed as he glared at Xuan Yuanming, his voice a warning. "Watch your words, or don't blame me for cutting out your tongue." "You? Is that all you've got?" Xuan Yuanming sneered, about to explode. Feng Su quickly smoothed things over. Quote, "Cousin, you even said something like, you wouldn't marry anyone but him." Xuan Yuanming's face flickered between emotions after hearing Feng Su. He looked down at the companion mark on his chest, then back at Su Yue, trying to find a flaw in her expression. But she kept her eyes lowered, her long lashes casting a shadow on her pale face, like a lifeless doll. He couldn't tell if Feng Su was telling the truth. It was possible that he could have done something like that when he went crazy. Xuan Yuanming stared at Su Yue's bowed profile. His heart suddenly twinged painfully. He instinctively pressed his hand to his chest, his fingers practically digging into his flesh. "Since we are companions," he said, suddenly curling his lip, "I will naturally take responsibility." "No need." Su Yue suddenly looked up, her expression colder than ever. "Who cares about your responsibility?" Xuan Yuanming was momentarily stunned by her sudden coldness. His expression was bewildered. In his memory, he had never been treated this way by any female, let alone one from the Southern Territory. "What did you say?" His voice was terrifyingly low, and his dragon might unconsciously radiate it out. Yilin's red eyes were chilling, and a sneer curled his lips. "Can't understand human speech?" He said no need. Xuan Yuanming was enraged by the sudden hostility. His dragon might exploded. "I am speaking to him. It's not your place to interrupt." Molin silently pulled Su Yue behind him, his eyes looking coldly at Xuan Yuanming. "Take one more step, and we don't mind making you lie down again." The atmosphere was tense. Xuan Yuanming seemed to recall something. His injuries must have been inflicted by these beastmen. He couldn't remember why, but he had a faint feeling it had something to do with a female named Su Yue. He looked at Feng Su and asked directly, "Cousin, tell me the whole story, cause and effect. Since I made him my companion, why did I try to kill him? And were my injuries related to them?" Feng Su was momentarily speechless. "Didn't your cut off cousin's memories with the secret technique? How did he know he tried to kill your? Which bastard was gossiping behind their backs and told cousin?" It seems the warnings weren't strong enough. Feng Su's peach blossom eyes narrowed, and his fingers unconsciously clenched. He saw Su Yue's knuckles turning white. She suddenly gave a light laugh. "Cousin, did the lightning strike your brain? You got drunk and forced yourself on little fish. When you woke up, you found he already had 6 other husbands and 2 nests of cubs. You thought he wasn't worthy of you, so you tried to kill him in a fit of rage to silence him." "Nonsense!" Xuan Yuanming was furious. He didn't believe a word of it. Although he could be crazy sometimes, he would never do such a thing. The only thing that could make him kill someone was if they did something extremely outrageous that crossed his bottom line. Xuan Yuanming's dark golden eyes narrowed, staring at Feng Su like electricity. "Tell me the truth." Feng Su awkwardly touched his nose. "Cousin is quite perceptive. Why be so smart?" As he racked his brain for a new story, Su Yue suddenly walked out, looking expressionless at Xuan Yuanming. "Since you want to know the truth." Everyone looked at her. "Your little moon!" Ye Lin, Bai Qi, Mo Lin, and Qingju all knew what she was about to say and spoke up to warn her. She looked at the men and slightly shook her head. Then she looked directly into Xuan Yuanming's eyes. Quote, "We were indeed companions. There's no need to dwell on the details of what happened. You've forgotten anyway. We are finished now. Please remove the companion mark. We'll go our separate ways." The mark on Xuan Yuanming's chest suddenly burned, stinging him painfully. He unconsciously clutched his chest. "By what right do you decide?" "By the right of you calling him a female from the Southern Territory, just now." Qingju sneered. "What, does the young master of the Dragon Clan not want to lose face now?" "Since you despise him, then please dissolve the mark immediately, lest our your taint your nobility." Xuan Yuanming was instantly choked. He had said that, but now, looking at Su Yue's calm eyes, his heart ached in waves. The feeling came out of nowhere. "I can remove it." He suddenly smiled, hooking his lips. "But first, tell me why I have absolutely no memory of you." Xuan Ming sneered. Because someone went crazy and tried to kill Yor, so we beat him into amnesia. Bye, you guys? Xuan Yuanming's expression was disdainful. He admitted these beastmen were strong, but it was absolutely impossible for them to beat him into amnesia. Yi Lin shot a displeased look at Xuan Ming. If you can't speak properly, shut up. Yi Lin's gaze turned to Xuan Yuanming. Since you've forgotten, stop bothering him. Removing the companion mark is best for everyone. Xuan Yuanming suddenly smiled, a dangerous light flashing in his dark golden eyes. It's not that I'm unwilling to let go. I just want to figure things out. He looked at Su Yue's cold, pale face and said bluntly, even though I have no memory, I can feel that our relationship is not as simple as they make it out to be. I may not remember, but my body does. He suddenly pressed his hand to his chest, the dragon scale pattern faintly visible beneath his skin. Asterix, every time I get close to you, this place burns. You give me a very complicated feeling. Love, hate, and resentment. There must have been a deep entanglement between us, the kind etched into the bones. Otherwise, my body wouldn't react like this. Su Yue clenched her hands, yet managed to force herself to meet his gaze. The eyes that once held a smile were now covered in frost. Young master, you are overthinking. It was nothing more than a fleeting affair. Xuan Yuanming frowned. For some reason, hearing the words fleeting affair made his heart feel like it was pierced by countless sharp knives, hurting so much he could barely breathe. I won't remove it so easily. When I remember our past, if it is as you say, I will naturally remove it. He looked coldly at everyone, and the dragon scale pattern appeared on his neck. Let's leave it at that for today. He suddenly transformed into a 100-meter-long azure dragon and soared into the sky, his dragon roar shaking the heavens. A tear appeared in the sky, ripped open by his dragon claws. It was the spatial tunnel to the Northern Territory. Xuan Yuanming's voice came from the sky, clearly directed at Su Yue. When I find out the truth, I will return to resolve this matter. He gave her one last deep look. His dragon tail swung, and he vanished in the distorted spatial rift. Not until the spatial rift gradually healed and completely disappeared did Su Yue's tense body finally relax. She felt as if all her strength had been drained. Mo Lin pulled her into his embrace, looking at her pale face, his heart aching. He frowned at the surroundings. Everyone, disperse. The surrounding beastmen scattered, and the mine returned to its busy state. For the next few days, Su Yue put aside personal matters and led the wolf tribe's beastmen and the husbands. Using the newly mined ore, they forged the first batch of iron farm tools. She had a more important task, farming. Su Yue looked at the farm tools with satisfaction. Finally, we could start clearing the land. The words immediately confused Yi Lin and the others. The beastmen relied entirely on hunting for food. The concept of clearing land wasn't even in their vocabulary, so they didn't quite understand. It means clearing the wild land to plant grain, she explained, picking up a hoe. If we only rely on hunting, we'll starve in the cold winter. We can plant the saved rice seeds next spring. For now, we just need to nurture the land so the harvest will be better next year. How do you nurture the land? Jingzhu, who had never heard of it, frowned and asked. Su Yue bent down, picked up a handful of dirt, rubbed it, and then looked at everyone, giving a perfectly serious but mischievous smile. With manure, of course. That's how the land becomes fertile. As she spoke, she pointed to a few cubs urinating in the distance. From now on, all waste from the tribe must be collected, along with human and animal manure, for composting. Feng Su's feather fan plopped to the ground. His shocked expression was mixed with intense disgust. Use sh*t and piss to water the ground? If he hadn't misunderstood, that soil was for planting grain, right? Could they still eat the grain after watering it with feces and urine? The thought of eating grain fertilized with manure made his stomach churn. He felt an urge to vomit. Otherwise, what do you think crops eat? Su Yue rolled her eyes at Feng Su, completely ignoring his constipated expression. Starting tomorrow, you'll be responsible for digging 10 manure pits in the tribe. Feng Su's peach blossom eyes widened in disbelief. Little fish, are you serious? You want me to dig manure pits? Bai Qi was practically bursting with happiness. His 10 tiger tails swayed joyfully. He added helpfully, manure is high-grade fertilizer. It makes the fields more fertile, and the grain that grows next year will be better. This is such an important task. You can't let everyone down. Feng Su rolled his eyes elegantly. too lazy to acknowledge him. His beautiful peach blossom eyes looked at Su Yue pitifully. "Little Moon, are you serious?" Su Yue ignored him. She said expressionlessly. "The manure pits need to be 2 meters deep, with stone slabs lining the inside walls. The flamboyant phoenix always tries to take shortcuts. He thinks he can get out of work by batting his eyes, acting spoiled, and saying a few sweet words. Look at Mo Lin. He's quiet and hardworking. He just gets to work without needing to be asked. He's not afraid of hardship, exhaustion, or filth, and he's handsome too. He's a model beast husband." "I won't!" Feng Su suddenly rushed over and hugged her arm. "Little Yue, let me pick flowers to make tea. That work is too dirty." More than just dirty. The thought of the smell of the manure pit made him feel like he stank before he even started digging. His wails echoed throughout the camp, even making Mu Han, who was forging iron, look up. Su Yue was unmoved. She turned to Bai Qi. "You go with him." The smile on Bai Qi's face instantly froze. I have to go." Jingju coldly interrupted him, a flicker of schadenfreude in his emerald eyes. "Perfect! That'll cure the lazy streak in this flirtatious fox." Xuan Ming laughed so hard he couldn't catch his breath. "Ha ha ha, you guys finally got yours. Little Moon is great. This is how you should handle them. They've been getting lazier and flirtier lately, but they're sweet-mouthed and good at cuddling, and they know best how to please Little Moon. I wanted to punch them." Yi Lin's dark eyes narrowed, a rare hint of a smile curving his lips. "Remember to dig deep." Mo Lin silently handed them 2 newly forged hoes. He said expressionlessly, "Digging with this is fast." Feng Su and Bai Qi exchanged a look, their faces falling simultaneously, expressions of utter despair. "Little fish." Feng Su still wanted to struggle, but Su Yue cut him off with a single sentence. "Stop whining. If you do, I'll make you haul the manure." Feng Su instantly wilted. He glared at Su Yue mournfully. "Little fish, how heartless." Bai Qi suddenly smiled sweetly. "Yeah, I remember you said you wanted to breed the horses I brought." "No rush," Su Yue interrupted him. "Wait until the manure pits are dug." Watching the two of them walk away dejectedly, Yi Lin and the other 3 felt immensely satisfied. These 2 lazy bums deserve to be dealt with this way. Su Yue shook her head helplessly. Having too many husbands really is a headache. Night quickly fell. Su Yue was stir-frying spicy rabbit meat in a newly forged large iron pot. The aroma was so fragrant, numbing, and spicy that the instant Bai Qi walked through the door, he coughed nonstop. Su Yue was flipping the rabbit meat when she asked, smiling, "Where's Feng Su? Why is he so late?" Bai Qi smiled faintly. He said the smell from the manure pit was too strong, so he took flower petals and went to the lake to bathe. He said he stank so badly that he'd only come back after washing 3 times. Su Yue's spatula paused. She coughed from the chili fumes. She said speechlessly, "The pit was just dug. It hasn't even been used yet. Where's the stench coming from? This show-off is being dramatic. Why bathe with flower petals? He's more particular than a woman. Could he have OCD like Bai Qi, just as she was serving the rabbit meat into a clay basin?" She heard Feng Su's exaggerated retching outside the cave. The flamboyant phoenix, his hair still dripping wet, burst into the cave and dramatically collapsed onto the animal hide rug, rolling around. "Little fish, I'm dirty." Hearing that, she almost burst out laughing. "Dirty? How's he dirty? Did some female take a fancy to him and taint him?" Feng Su sprang up like a fish, water glistening in his flirtatious peach blossom eyes. "It's worse than being tainted by a female." He held up his long, slender fingers. "I can smell the dirt in my fingernails." Qingju's lean figure walked in, coldly mocking him. "If you can't handle this little bit of hardship, why don't you go back to the Phoenix clan and be your young master? Then you won't have to do this kind of work." Feng Su instantly bristled. "Don't talk to me like that. If you're so capable, why don't you go dig the manure pit tomorrow?" Qingju lifted his eyelids dismissively. "That's your job. Why should I dig it?" "Do you think I'm stupid enough to fall for your provocation and dig your manure pit for you?" Su Yue tapped the iron pot with her spatula. "If you two keep arguing, you'll both go haul manure." Feng Su instantly fell silent. He rubbed against her affectionately. "Little Moon." Su Yue was about to push away his restless hand when she suddenly felt her stomach churn violently. She clapped her hand over her mouth and bolted out of the cave without looking back. The woman, experiencing morning sickness, was mistaken by Beast Husband number 5 as being sick. He immediately carried her to the witch doctor's residence. Su Yu felt even sicker from the jolting ride. No matter how she pinched, hit, or punched the man, he wouldn't let her down, only running faster with her in his arms. They quickly arrived at the witch doctor's residence. "Old man, Little Moon is sick. Get out here now," Xuanming yelled, rushing inside with Su Yue, startling the old witch doctor, who was compounding medicine, causing him to spill powder all over the table. "You brat. Don't you know this old man is old and can't handle shocks? What's with the shouting?" The old witch doctor grabbed his pestle, ready to strike, but froze when he saw Su Yue's pale face. "Girl, what's wrong?" Qingju quickly followed in, yanked Xuanming aside, and gently placed Su Yue on the animal hide rug. He suddenly felt like vomiting, and his face is pale. The old witch doctor was about to examine her when Su Yue suddenly pushed Qingju away forcefully and bent over, vomiting until she was dizzy, even getting some vomit on Qingju's animal hide clothing. If it had been anyone else, Qingju would have immediately slapped them away and given them a good beating. But since it was Yor, he couldn't get angry. Instead, he felt deep distress. The old witch doctor looked at Su Yue's pitiful state, his white beard twitching in anger. "Xuanming, you foolish wolf cub! Did you run all the way here carrying her?" Xuanming was startled. He scratched his head. I ran a little fast." "A little fast? Can a female be compared to a thick-skinned boar like you?" The old witch doctor picked up his pestle again and aimed for Xuanming's head. Yilin's figure appeared in the doorway just then. Seeing Su Yue's shockingly pale face, he quickly went to hold her. "What happened?" Qingju glanced at Xuanming and said coldly, "It's all Xuanming's fault. That boar ran wildly with him in his arms." Molin stepped inside, his gaze sweeping over Su Yue's pale face, his eyes full of distress. He looked at Qingju. His cold voice carried a hint of blame. "You were right there, and you just let him? Why didn't you stop him?" As he spoke, he walked over holding a damp hide and carefully cleaned the mess on Su Yue, his movements unbelievably gentle, afraid of hurting him. Qingju was speechless. Knowing he was at fault, he said nothing, letting Molin take over. The old witch doctor didn't scold Xuanming any further, turning instead to take Su Yue's pulse. The moment his finger touched her wrist, his brow furrowed. He looked at Su Yue with a strange expression. "Girl, how's your appetite lately?" Before Su Yue could answer, Yilin spoke up. "He hasn't been eating much these past few days, and is always sleepy and nauseous." The old witch doctor suddenly burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha ha, forget dizziness and stomachache. The girl is pregnant. Didn't you notice yourself?" Su Yue was slightly stunned. A green light flashed at her fingertips. She let her wood ability run through her body and discovered a faint new life signature in her abdomen. It really is pregnancy. She withdrew her finger, using her wood ability, and smiled awkwardly. "I truly didn't notice. Perhaps I've been too busy lately." Bai Qi stood there at some point, his beautiful fox eyes fixed on Su Yue's face. His gentle gaze seemed to melt her. "I thought Yor was just feeling unwell, which is why I rushed over. I didn't expect it to be pregnancy," he thought. "Yilin and Molin already have their cubs. This time, it should be my turn, right?" Feng Su, blocked by Bai Qi at the door, still heard the conversation inside. His amorous peach blossom eyes instantly lit up. He pushed Bai Qi away and squeezed into the room. "Oh dear, this is wonderful news." His red robes brushed past Bai Qi, bringing a gust of fragrant wind. He showily flipped his long hair. "Little Moon is definitely carrying my cub." He truly believed it. After all, he had been rolling around with Little Moon in the grass for a whole afternoon on the second day of her heat. Therefore, the chance of Little Moon carrying a phoenix egg was the highest. "Bullshit!" Xuanming looked at Feng Su and immediately swore. "All 7 of us were there on the first night of Yor's heat. It was a mess. Anyone could be the father." But Little Moon rested on the second night. The 3rd and 4th nights were Molin and me. The 5th was Feng Su. The 6th was Yilin. And the 7th was Molin. It's the old fox's turn now, but Yor's heat is already over. He has the lowest chance, unless he got incredibly lucky, and it happened on the very first night. Bai Qi's fox eyes narrowed, and a wisp of golden foxfire suddenly appeared on his fingertip. "Xuanming, say that again!" He was clearly angry that he was said to have the lowest chance. Xuan Ming sneered coldly, completely unconcerned by the threat. Why? I'm just telling the truth. The foxfire on Baiqi's fingertip suddenly extinguished. He suddenly laughed softly. Xuan Ming, you certainly have a good memory. He slowly adjusted his cuffs, but a dangerous light flashed in his eyes. However, who can say for sure with pregnancy? Maybe I was lucky and conceived on the first night. At his words, the atmosphere in the room instantly tensed. Qingju sneered. Luck? Have some decency. Yi Lin and Mo Lin already had their cubs, so they weren't particularly concerned about whether the cub in Yu's belly was theirs. If it was, great, a double blessing. If not, they wouldn't be overly disappointed. Feng Su squeezed directly to Su Yue's side. His peach blossom eyes were astonishingly bright. He pulled a wild fruit from his pocket and stuffed it into her hand. I just picked this gooseberry this morning. You'll definitely love the sour taste. He had noticed that Little Moon had suddenly developed a craving for sour foods lately, but hadn't connected it to pregnancy. Su Yue did crave sour foods now. She looked up at Feng Su, smiling, and took a bite. It was clearly very sour, but she didn't taste the sourness at all. Instead, it was sweet and delicious, crispy and very satisfying. She finished it in 2 bites. Her stomach finally felt a little better. Not as uncomfortable as before, Yi Lin silently took note. He turned to the witch doctor. What should we pay attention to during pregnancy? Although Yer has been pregnant before, it's better to be careful. The old witch doctor stroked his beard and smiled. The first 20 days are the most important. Don't let him get tired. Su Yu's, whose face was noticeably better, suddenly lowered her voice. You few, behave yourselves recently. He men in the room had varying expressions. Yi Lin's eyes flickered, unconsciously calculating the time. The last time Yer was pregnant, he was confined for the entire pregnancy. Pregnancy plus the postpartum month means at least 90 days without touching him. Mo Lin expressionlessly turned to clean up the vomit, but his eyes were noticeably darker. Oh dear! Feng Su suddenly covered his face with his feather fan and laughed lightly, his eyes sweeping over everyone. Looks like some people are gonna suffer. Baiqi smiled gently, like a jade statue. Young Master Feng should worry about himself. He then pointedly addressed the other man. After all, the Phoenix clan has the longest heat cycle, and yours seems to be coming soon. The smile on Feng Su's face instantly froze. He suddenly realized his heat was indeed approaching.